Aita for forcing my father's partner to take back a lie she told my children. I'll preface this by saying I don't have the best relationship with my father, and his partner, Blair, is a big part of the reason why. While I don't hate her, she is extremely obnoxious and childish. She's also horrible with boundaries. It feels like any time someone tells her no, she hears maybe. She's been like this for as long as I've known her, but it's become harder to deal with since I had children, so I try to keep some distance. Anyway, Blair and my father are planning on going to Orlando in July. About a month ago, she asked whether me, my husband and our kids, 7M and 3F, wanted to join them. I thanked her for inviting us, but said no, because we're planning on going next January and there's a pretty big chance I'll have to work in July. Also, and I didn't say this to her, we've been to Orlando with her before and my husband has stated he'd rather eat glass than do it again. A week later, Blair told me they were getting their tickets and asked me whether I was sure we wouldn't join them. I said I was. Days after that, my sister called me. Blair had told her I was thinking about going while inviting her and her boyfriend. I, once again, told Blair we wouldn't go. Finally, Blair asked me if I'd be okay with her and my father taking my kids to Orlando. I said no, because we're not even in the same hemisphere as the US and I wouldn't let my young children travel to a different country without me or my husband. Last week, my sister babysat my kids while my husband and I went out. While we were gone, Blair visited to drop off a gift she and my father had bought for my husband. She also took the opportunity to tell my children we were all going to Orlando in July. My daughter didn't care about it much at first, I think she didn't really register it, but my son got very excited right away. He kept talking about how much he wanted to go to Disney and asking about the trip. And after watching her big brother like that, my daughter jumped on the bandwagon with him. It was both heartbreaking and infuriating to watch them like that. I called Blair and said she had two options, either she told my kids she'd lied and they weren't going to Orlando or I did. I added that if she told them, she'd have the opportunity to apologize and explain herself, but if I did, I would not do that for her. Blair chose to call my children herself. I kept the phone on speaker to make sure she was apologizing, explaining everything, and making it clear we wouldn't go to Orlando in July. Both my children, especially my son, were upset, but my husband and I had a talk with them and managed to cheer them up. My father texted me yesterday. He said that he didn't appreciate the way I dealt with this. Blair is still upset and thinks my kids are mad at her now. He wants me to apologize or at least try to get my kids to forgive her, but I don't see why I should. She was the one who lied to my children, and I'm not responsible for Blair's feelings. We're still on this back and forth, and I can tell neither of us is particularly proud about this. Aita, top comment. Well, she did lie to your kids after repeatedly being told you were not going to. Comment. I would seriously consider a NC period until Blair learns that lying has consequences. Reply. I've considered going LC with Blair for a while. Not due to lies, this was the first time she lied to my kids, but because dealing with her genuinely feels like dealing with a child. Comment. She is the living example of, I intentionally screwed up and I'm upset and hurt because I don't want to take responsibility for my own action, I just want to blame everyone else. Reply. As much as I generally have no issue with my father's relationship with Blair, a big problem I do have with it is that I feel like I'm the only person who says no to her. Whenever my father does say no, which already doesn't happen often, she ignores him. She's used to doing what she wants without anyone stopping her. Most of the time, I don't care. It doesn't really affect me that much. I do not tolerate this when it comes to matters related to my children, and I've made that very clear in the past. I think that's why I didn't expect her to lie to them. Update, Aita for forcing my father's partner to take back a lie she told my children. I want to start off by saying my kids are both doing well. My daughter's birthday is coming up, which she's very excited about. My son is also doing better, but he's still a little upset. A few days after my first post, I was tucking him in when he asked me why Blair had been mean to them. There was no way to answer that question that felt fair to my children. She lied to them because she wanted to. She did what she did to manipulate us. I don't know whether she expected me and my husband to put our careers and sanities on hold to join them in July or to let her take our children to fucking Florida without their parents. Either way, it's not happening. We weren't sure how to deal with this. Going low contact felt too much like a maybe, which I already know means yes in Blair, but cutting ties felt like too much. In the end, we decided on a timeout period. She won't have any type of contact with the kids until the holidays. We'll extend that period if necessary. I told both her and my father about this over the weekend. She cried, and my father and I fought again. There wasn't really anything remarkable about what was said at first. It just felt the same as other fights we've had in the past, so I didn't register much. Then he started comparing Blair to my children. One of the things he said was, when kids are excited about something, it's fine, but when Blair is, you have to rein on it. That's what really pissed me off. I told him Blair is not a child. If he wants to treat her like one, that's on them. But he can't expect me to parent a 40-something-year-old woman who can't understand the word no when it's said to her. I did have another conversation with my father the next day, and it was more peaceful. He apologized for most of what he said, but a lot of it sounded like damage control. I told him we needed some space. We're not cutting ties, but we'll probably have less contact for a while. In retrospect, I think I wrote that original post because I couldn't understand where Blair was coming from. Now I realize I don't have to. I've been tolerating Blair's behavior for years, but I can't allow my kids to be affected by it again. I think I explained my family mostly well in the comments last time, but feel free to ask me whatever you want to know. Thank you for your reassurance. Top comment. Good job at putting up boundaries and enforcing them. Reply. Wouldn't be surprised if we ended up not seeing Blair until after our trip next year. Stories number 2. Did I really break wedding etiquette? About a year ago my 41F sister, 33F, sent out her save the dates. She was getting married less than a week before my son's 18th birthday. Since my family is all over the country, my son has never had a big birthday celebration. My sister was planning a post-wedding brunch the day after the ceremony reception and I asked if she would be okay if we could do something for my son in the afternoon since family will already be gathered for her wedding. She loved the idea and I ran it by my son, and reminded him he can do something with his friends on his actual birthday. Both were happy with the idea. I even chose a venue away from the hotel we'd all be staying at so my sister wouldn't feel we were encroaching on her wedding. All good so far, no problems. 6 months ago the invitations came and I RSVP'd for me and my son. Ex-husband is not in the picture. Meal options were a beef dish or a fish dish. I RSVP'd for 2 beef dinners. Now on to the problem and where I'm being told I'm in the wrong. At the reception yesterday, my almost 18-year-old son was given a child's meal, chicken nuggets and steak fries. I told the server there was a mistake and we RSVP'd for the beef dish. The server took the plate and brought out a beef dinner 2 minutes later. For clarification, this wasn't a child-free wedding and there were about 5 kids there, aged 4 to 9 or so. At the brunch today my sister pretty much ignored me and was really cold when she did talk to me. As it was ending I asked if she was still coming to my son's celebration since she seemed like she was mad at me. She pulled out a piece of paper and said, "Maybe I'll come once you pay this." The paper was an invoice she made up for $77.50 for an extra dinner. I was confused and asked her what it was about and apparently my nearly 18-year-old son was supposed to get a child's meal and the caterer was charging my sister an additional $77.50 and that it was my fault they had to provide an additional meal. I told her that 1, I had RSVP'd and chosen the adult meal for him months ago and 2, he's a 17-year-old, how would anyone think a meal of 4 chicken nuggets and a handful of fries would be enough for him? It became this big blow up and my sister turned it into people having to take sides. And surprise, my son's birthday party ended up being a disaster that almost no one attended because your sister is the bride and she makes the rules on her day. Even our mom skipped it because my sister was inconsolable. Everyone is telling me he should have just sucked it up and I could have taken him to McDonald's afterwards. I still think I'm being perfectly reasonable. Am I really this wrong about wedding etiquette? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. No, you didn't break etiquette. Your sister is insane. You RSVP'd for beef, he should have gotten beef. No one over the age of 11 eats kids' meals. Reply. Thank you. I feel like once a child is a teenager, they graduate to the adult table meal. Commenter 2. I'm sorry I agree with you here is what's odd to me someone had to have given the caterer a count of how many adult meals and how many children's meals. Nobody in their right mind would tell a caterer a child's meal for a 17-year-old. My son was man-sized at almost 18 and I'm sure yours is as well. Now on your behalf I would have done the exact same thing. I would have immediately assumed the kitchen had simply made a mistake. Something is rotten in Denmark here because someone had to have counted your son as a child, which is bizarre. I won't even go into the caterer charging that much for a plate. Just ridiculous. Secondly, it was your sister's choice to get all worked up and mad at her own wedding. This is something that could have been easily addressed at a later time. I can't see where you did anything wrong. But the takeaway from this is somebody turned in 1 adult and 1 child on to the caterer. No offense, your sister sounds like a piece of work. Reply. But the takeaway from this is somebody turned in 1 adult and 1 child on to the caterer. Exactly. The RSVP didn't go directly to the caterer, so at some point my sister decided to give me son a kid's meal. And if this was such an issue, why didn't she immediately address it with me? Commenter 3. I would love to know what bride's actual attendance was. Did everyone actually show up and they were short a beef plate? I find that very hard to believe. Please forward these responses to your family. They are absolutely crazy to take her side. Reply. The reception was about 180 people. I do know at least 4 didn't show up, since my mom complained about it to me. Sister's coworker's family got COVID. I wonder if they'll get invoices, too. Update. I posted a few days ago and I'm not sure if this sub allows for or welcomes updates, but here it is. It's not good. My post was about my sister ordering a children's meal for my 17-year-old son at her reception and throwing a fit the next day and invoicing me to pay for his extra adult meal that he wasn't supposed to get. Thank you all for confirming it was correct that my son should have been given the adult meal we RSVP'd with. I found out it was all planned. Of course it was. After my sister agreed for my son to have his milestone 18th birthday celebrated the day after the wedding, since all family would already be there for the wedding, she decided she didn't want to share her weekend anymore. Yes, she got Friday for the rehearsal and rehearsal dinner, Saturday for the ceremony and reception, and apparently needed all of Sunday, too. Would the reasonable thing be to tell me she was no longer comfortable with my son's party? Yes. And I would have postponed it. Would the reasonable thing be to manufacture some petty beef and turn everyone against me and my son, resulting in almost no one showing up? Apparently, yes to my sister and mother, because that makeshift invoice. I had another look at it after I posted. Printed on an inkjet printer that slightly bleeds red even on black and white. Just like my mother's old, faulty printer, which means she printed it before the wedding. It was actually my son that noticed and mentioned it looked like it came from my mom's crappy printer. I mean, did my sister really spend her wedding night creating an invoice? Of course it was already prepared. This was all planned. I called my mom and confronted her yesterday and she just said, it was your sister's wedding. All the attention should have been on her, anyway. Her wedding was on Saturday, she doesn't own Sunday. So they humiliated my son so she can play princess for an extra day. Honestly, things have been bad in the past, but for the past 5 years I thought I was really making progress with my mom, but I'm questioning her role in my life now more than ever. Even worse, my son no longer wants anything to do with both of them, and maybe that's for the best. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. This is absolutely wild. I guess I can see wanting all the attention on the couple the day of, but the fact that she saw celebrating her nephew the day after her wedding with all her family around as a burden taking attention away from her own pretty princess special weekend instead of being overjoyed to share a fun happy milestone with him is so gross. Reply. That's the thing that bothers me. At any point she could have said, I thought about it some more and I really want the attention of the weekend to be on me. I would have been annoyed but cancelled the birthday party. But to not say anything and cause this blow up is really out of this world. Commenter 2. Can I see being slightly annoyed at a nephew's birthday party the day after the wedding? Maybe. But I'm absolutely dying that she had him served a kid's portion like he isn't eating more than most adults at almost 18. Reply. I totally get it. When I first approached her about it, it was only because it's a milestone birthday and my extended family is spread throughout the country, so it meant everyone who came to the wedding could also celebrate my son's birthday. I even booked an entirely different venue so she wouldn't feel encroached on. If she, or even my son, wasn't okay with it, I wouldn't have pressed the issue at all. I legitimately thought she was happy with extending the festivities. Stories number 3. Aita for refusing to let my dad's future stepdaughter stay with me for a week when my dad and his fiancée go on their honeymoon. My dad's engaged to a woman named Clara and Clara has a 13-year-old daughter Elizabeth. I don't live with my dad and Clara. I, 21M, rent a place with my girlfriend, 21F. We have a spare bedroom and we've had family members stay with us before. Because of this, and because Elizabeth doesn't have a dad or extended family in her life, and because nobody in our family will take Elizabeth for the week, my dad is pressuring me to let her stay with us for the week. Elizabeth's a brat and a spoiled one too. She thinks she's entitled to do what she wants when she wants. My grandparents babysat her several times before they said no more. The last straw was her taking $20 from my grandparents' room to buy herself snacks and she left the house and went to the store without asking. She'd snooped in other rooms of the house before. She broke stuff in their house before like a vase, a picture frame and the handle of one of the kitchen cabinets. She's cursed at different members of my family, flipped them the bird, yelled at younger kids in the family and has stolen food from their plates too, specifically the younger members of the family. We've had our encounters too. When I visited Dad and she tried to take my phone after I said no and was willing to fight me for it, or when she got into my face because I didn't bring my PS5 over to Dad's house. I avoid going to Dad's house because I don't want to deal with Elizabeth. My dad knows about all of this. He's choosing to sign up to be Elizabeth's stepdad. But he's saying that I should sign up to be her brother and help her, and I told him no fucking way. We fought about it because he sees me allowing her to stay as showing good faith in the new family, and he told me Elizabeth will be around for the rest of my life, so I should try to get along. He told me she needs to go somewhere and she's not going on honeymoon with him and Clara. I told him to pay someone to watch her because whoever gets stuck with her deserves it. He told me she's not that bad and it's only a week and it's not like I can't have people over. My dad's not backing down, but neither am I. He's getting more pissed about it and maybe worried that he'll need to spend the money on finding someone to stay with her. He told me this isn't how family treats each other and all kinds of crap. And look, I know Elizabeth's only 13. I know teens are moody. I know she's probably got her own trauma and shit. So I'm coming here to ask if I'm TA for refusing to let her stay for the week my dad's on his honeymoon. Because my dad sure thinks so, and I know Clara does too. She thinks we're all assholes for not giving her daughter more of a chance. Stories number 4. Me, 39M, with my wife, 39F, of 10 years. Found out 2 months ago she cheated on me. She took pills, went to the hospital, we're working through it, but it sucks and I'm not always sure I can. My wife and I both turned 40 this year. We have 3 kids under 10. Past couple of years have been less than romantic. I work all the time and she works 2 nights a week, so yeah, we've been falling out of touch. All the classic signs come up over the past 6 months. She dyes her hair, starts wearing cooler clothes, picks fights with me. About 2 months ago, I have the house to myself and decide to snoop. I see the text messages with a coworker. Apparently they kissed one night after work in his car. She says, and I believe her here, it didn't go further than that. But her text messages were very clear that she wanted to. I haven't wanted to connect with someone in so long. I want to see this through, the whole thing. That's burned into my brain. He rejected her, though. So it never went further. I found out 2 weeks later. I text her that I found out. She takes a lot of pills before driving home, a friend takes her to the hospital and she's admitted indefinitely on suicide watch. Gets diagnosed with bipolar 2, and she has been in a hypomanic phase for months. This explains some of the behavior. I'm almost immediately caring for her. She is released only a few days later. It's usually much longer than that, but she says she was super motivated to get out for the kids and played the game. I feel it was at least partly a deflection, but what choice do I have? I try watching out for myself, but I have kids, mortgage, a job, and a life, and I don't want to be a divorced dad living in my dad's basement. I make okay money but not enough for 2 households. I love her, but I'm having a hard time getting past this. We're doing individual and couples therapy, and have had some great and some intimate times since I found out. But she's kind of in survival mode and doesn't have a lot of energy to give, getting used to new meds, etc., i.e., I'm the one reading the marriage books. I want to be here for her and I am trying hard to work on me, but I feel guilty that I can't get past it, even though I know that's not rational. It has only been 2 months. Just tonight, after a failed sexy time, she was too tired, I goggled the guy's name again, but this time I found his Twitter feed. On the night in question, he's tweeting he has a crush. And he tweets what looks like an inside joke. And it's eating me up. I know he rejected her, I saw the messages. But maybe there's more to it. What the fuck is that inside joke? TLDR, wife cheated, but we're both committed to getting past it. 2 questions. Have many of you successfully gotten past this kind of thing, or does it always haunt you at strange times? And those who couldn't get past it, does divorced life suck as bad as I think it will? Comments. Commenter. Look OP, she was rejected, okay, there was intent and that is all you need to focus on. Will she try this again? Probably. Will you discover it like this time? Hopefully. However you view marriage, whether you believe it's for life or until one party breaks vows, you need to realize the truth here. Your wife got all dolled up for another man, starting treating you, her husband, like shit and then got rejected by this guy even though, as you say yourself, she wanted to go a lot further. Who is to say that if this guy actually wanted a relationship that she wouldn't have left you for him? Is this the person who you want to make things work with? Update. All the advice in my, now 49 dear God, previous post was reasonable, good advice, I'm glad I didn't take any of it. I'm still married, and I love my life and my wife, now 49. Like any marriage, there are things we work on, but in retrospect the incident with the guy whose name I just realized I don't even remember, I'll call that progress, was truly a bipolar 2 hypomanic phase, at a time that the medication she was on for depression only exacerbated the issue. Every year in May, on the anniversary of me finding out and her suicide attempt, for the first few years, were very hard. It's gotten better every year. This year I didn't even notice till today and it's over a week past. We vacation together, we're intimate several times per month, we have plans for when our kids are out of the house for a pop-up trailer and travel. I learned through the process of couples therapy how important it is for me to be okay with just me. If I'm alone or end up divorced, I will survive and retain my identity. I have my hobbies and have established my self-worth. She has continued to work on her mental health, with professionals, and has succeeded in avoiding the worst ups and downs. I love her, she loves me, and we're still gratefully together. All this to say, divorce and separation may be the right answer to a lot of situations. I don't take for granted that it isn't in my future, but you should know it's not the only solution for really bad situations. You may be able to work through it and be happy. TLDR, my wife and I are still together, and happy, and I'm glad I didn't take the fairly consistent advice from my post 10 years ago. Comments. Commenter 1. You're delusional. You actually want a pop-up travel trailer? Reply, LOL, we want an Airstream. But in this economy. Commenter 2. Damn, this was so honest and hopeful. Really cool to see someone choose growth over bitterness and come out stronger for it. Wishing you both the best. Stories number 5. Aita for losing it on my husband and MIL after she hit our son. I'm F30 and my husband is 29. We have a 3-year-old son. He is from South America. I'll call him Juan. He came to my country as an immigrant and can now stay permanently if he wants to. I've only met my MIL in person on the day of our wedding and she seemed like a nice old Latin lady. I'll call her Maria. She recently came to the country for a few weeks. Juan invited her, so she could meet our son and see the wonders of our country, like gray skies and old buildings and old people. She absolutely loved our son and was so happy to see him and play with him. Everything went well, but one day I left him with her for a moment while Juan and I went shopping for dinner. We were out for less than half an hour and when we came back our son was crying and came running to me as soon as he saw me come through the door. I asked Maria what had happened and she said, he was misbehaving so I hit him with a spoon and he started to cry. I couldn't believe what she had said so I asked her to repeat it and she did, saying it as if she was proud of it. I asked her why she was so proud of hitting my son. She said she only hit him once, as if that was better. This started an argument. She said that children need to be hit once in a while or they'll become delinquents. She said that all her children were regularly hit with spoons or sandals and they all turned out fine. I couldn't stand it, so I told her to get out. She could stay in a hotel that wouldn't let her near my son again. She was so angry and started insulting me in Spanish which I only half understood. It took me 3 hours to get her out of the house. Then I continued to argue with Juan because he said nothing the whole time. He said he didn't like it but it was true that they turned out well. I said corporal punishment is never okay but that made him angry. He said, I challenge you to find a single mama Latina who has never hit her children, not even once, but that's the way we were brought up because otherwise we would have become weak men. And then he went on to say that I was suggesting that an entire culture of millions of people had been brought up wrong and that was racist. That is the short version, because we ended up arguing most of the night. I didn't let Maria see our son until I went back to her country, and Juan went to sleep with a friend. All my friends put it down to culture shock and that I'm crazy to die on that hill, and Juan is still very angry with me. So Aita. And racist? Edit. Thanks all for your support, thanks for clarifying it isn't a cultural thing. Yes, there is older people in my own country who still defend corporal punishment, but him insisting that this is a cultural thing and therefore shouldn't criticize it was bullocks. I try to contact him to talk but he keeps leaving me on read while uploading stories at a pub at the same time. I'm furious honestly. But I'll see what I can do. Top comments. Commenter 1, NTA. It's not a race issue. My Eastern European mother would do the same. Just because that's the way it always was doesn't make it any less abusive. You need to talk to your husband about how you want to parent your son. It sounds like you haven't had to resort to hitting so far, so why start now, just because your MIL is incapable of managing a toddler. Commenter 2, has anyone explained to Juan that OP is not a mama Latina, and this is not how children are raised today? It has nothing to do with an entire culture being brought up wrong. The child is 3, he's only met this grandmother recently and she conks him with a spoon, great way to get to know your grandmother. Commenter 3, he was pretty quick to call you racist because you disagreed with something. That's so BS. It comes across as very manipulative. Update 1, hi everyone. It's been a while, I had forgotten about this account. But I was cleaning this computer before selling it and I was still logged in. So, on my last post, my MIL came in to visit our country. MIL and my husband Juan are from South America. We left her alone with the baby for a moment only to find out she had hit him because he was behaving like a baby. My husband defended her and called me racist because according to him, every Latin American parent hits their kids and it's okay, but it's not okay with me at all. So, the situation kept going on for a while. This became a huge issue in our marriage, and then Juan confessed that he had also hit our son when I wasn't home. He believes that is the only way to discipline a child and that gentle parenting doesn't work. That was it for me. The problems got bigger and bigger while he kept insisting that this way of parenting of the reason why Latin Americans are more resilient than northern countries, and that people in here are too soft and sensitive. We started fighting every single day, and then I just asked for a divorce. After that he became so verbally violent that now we communicate through lawyers only. I have plenty of evidence of him confessing to hitting our son, while he in his testimonies confirms it but says, is not that serious. This is stressful and I'm not doing well, so I have to sell a few things to pay for bills and debts. I'm going for full custody while he is doing the same, claiming that I'm an unfit mother for not teaching our son discipline. Well, enough with my drama, I have to go and do something else. Thanks everyone. I wasn't expecting so many people to read this, but wow, thanks everyone. To be clear, my husband wasn't beating our son in a way that could put his life in danger, but for example, wrapping a spoon in clothes so when it hits, still hurts but leaves no marks on the skin. He described this to me as a way to make me see that is not that serious, but is still unacceptable. This is not an attempt to make Latin people look like abusive parents, but one really thinks that because growing up he normalized it, he really thinks that everybody does it, and the people who wasn't raised that way are weak. And yes, we had talked about how to raise our child, but I always thought that not hitting them ever was obvious. I'm not sure when I might update with something important. I don't even have a court date yet, so it will take a while, but I'll be reading your comments. Edit 2, thanks for all of your support, but I can't keep reading your stories of child abuse. I'm so sorry, I'm glad the majority of you are doing better now, but I just can't keep reading them. It's actually making me feel so bad, that's the downside of having empathy. Sorry. Top comments. Commenter 1, thanks for standing up for your kid, you're a good mother. Your husband is an ass, to say the least. I have a Latina mother and she never even attempted to hit me once in my first 20 years of life. I moved to a different country when I got married, and actually defended me when my dad was about to hit me when I was around 7 to 8. Hitting oftentimes create adults with a lot of stress, anxiety and fear to voice out their feelings. Commenter 2, NTA. Hitting a baby is never okay. They can't learn discipline at that stage, only fear and pain. You are doing the right thing OP. Commenter 3, exactly, childhood abuse and trauma create scars that are evident even in adulthood. You are doing right by your child, good job. Commenter 4, stay strong, you're doing the right thing for your son. Update, my husband left the country. I have no fucking energy for context here, I'm so damn angry and frustrated. My husband and I are divorcing but this is so slow as you can imagine. He has been such a pain in the butt about it and trying to put every roadblock he could think of. He got silent for some days, damn silent, like he fell off the edge of the earth. Then he sent me a message of him, with his mom, on a beach, with a beer, and a caption that said in Spanish which translate to something like try to ask me for child support from here, you be word, and then blocked me. I'm so angry, nobody knew he left the country, his friends, co-workers, the girl that I have a suspect he was cheating on me with, nobody. Seems like he is at his home country and yes, he is from a coastal city where some of his family members still live in. I'm damn devastated and feel so stupid for ever thinking this could ever be a good man for my child. I was fighting to get custody of our child only to run away like a damn smirking coward. I wasn't expecting to become a single mother with a deadbeat husband at my age but here I am. Edit, thanks everyone but I need to clarify a few things. I'm not in the US and my husband is not Spanish. I think I previously said he was from Latin America. I don't want to be rude but Americans are not helping themselves by forgetting that there are other Spanish-speaking countries than Mexico and Spain. I had a long cry on my mom's shoulder and I'm exploring my legal options, which, yeah, things might I think be better from now on but the process will not be as quick as some of you think. In the real world the legal system goes very slow. Thanks again. I appreciate your support and that's why I keep coming back. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, you should really check to see if his country is part of the Hague Convention. I'd be concerned he may remove the child as well. You should bring this to the attention of your lawyer immediately. Also, I'd wager his friends, family and girlfriend knew exactly what he was planning. As everyone else has said, still carry on with your child support case in the meantime. Reply, I didn't know it existed, but according to Google, his country is part of the Hague Convention. Commenter 2, go after court-ordered child support anyway. The judgment will remain if he ever tries to return to the United States. Get full custody. Even if he isn't in the country. It is one way to prevent him from taking the child abroad. You might be able to have his rights taken so that if you meet another guy and remarry, your new husband could adopt your son, if that's what you decide you want at some point. Make sure the judge sees the photo of your husband on the beach, and when your son is old enough, show it to him too. Commenter 3, and him running away to another country isn't good for him either. If he tries to enter back into the country his passport will flag him because if OP goes to court and he's a no-show it is considered contempt. Commenter 4, NTA. Don't stop pursuit of child support. In most jurisdictions the judgment for arrears does not expire. Also your lawyer should look to see if he has transferred any of his assets to his mother or other relatives that can also be attached to go towards child support. For instance, if he gave his car to his mother to look after, that is clearly an illegal transfer of assets to avoid child support payments. So you may not be able to actually get the money from him, but as long as you have an order for him to pay, if he ever comes back you can collect. Stories number 6. Aita for refusing to give up my life insurance payout and asking my ex's family to refinance the car he left me. So my ex passed away recently in a work-related accident. It's sad, of course. I have a lot of mixed emotions about it. But the truth is, we hadn't been together in over a year when it happened. We were together for 5 years, and we broke up because he cheated on me and got someone else pregnant. That breakup wrecked me. It took me a long time to recover. I haven't seen him since. After the breakup, I went no contact. I've spent the past year healing, learning to be happy again, and moving on. I didn't go to the funeral. I didn't want to see the baby mama or his family. And while I'm not happy he's gone, I can't say I'm devastated anymore either. I grieved this person when I left the relationship. Now here's where things get complicated. 6 months after our breakup, and after the baby was born, he took out a life insurance policy. In it, he named me as the 50% beneficiary. His mom and the baby mama each got 25%. I didn't know this until the insurance company called me. I assumed it was some paperwork left over from when we were together. But nope, this was a new policy, dated well after the breakup. That means this was his decision. At the same time, there's a car. He financed it while we were still together, but it's under my name and credit. I begged him for over a year to refinance it, to the point the only reason I ever contacted him was for the refinancing of that car. He never refinanced that car, I doubt he was ever going to. Now that he's gone, it's still tied to me. The car is sitting in my garage, and his family has reached out saying the baby mama needs it for work. I told them, fine. You can have it as soon as it's refinanced and no longer on my credit. I will gladly sign whatever paper they need. But I am not going to risk my credit on people I don't trust to make payments. And now they're demanding that I give up the life insurance payout too. That I should do the right thing and give it to his mom or the baby mama. But here's the thing, I didn't ask for any of this. I didn't ask to be put on that policy. He made that choice, after everything that happened between us. Honestly, I feel like I earned that money. I spent 5 years with that man. 5 years dealing with the stress, the gaslighting, the emotional pain, the betrayal. I loved him deeply and I lost so much trying to make that relationship work. I stayed with him until I found out his baby mama was pregnant, because he was actively hiding it from me at that time. I was with him through the worst parts of his life. If anything, this money feels like the only thing I ever got back from all the bullshit. He chose to leave it to me. Probably because deep down, he knew how badly he treated me. Stories number 7. Aita for forcing my father's partner to take back a lie she told my children. I'll preface this by saying I don't have the best relationship with my father, and his partner, Blair, is a big part of the reason why. While I don't hate her, she is extremely obnoxious and childish. She's also horrible with boundaries. It feels like any time someone tells her no, she hears maybe. She's been like this for as long as I've known her, but it's become harder to deal with since I had children, so I try to keep some distance. Anyway, Blair and my father are planning on going to Orlando in July. About a month ago, she asked whether me, my husband and our kids, 7M and 3F, wanted to join them. I thanked her for inviting us, but said no, because we're planning on going next January and there's a pretty big chance I'll have to work in July. Also, and I didn't say this to her, we've been to Orlando with her before and my husband has stated he'd rather eat glass than do it again. A week later, Blair told me they were getting their tickets and asked me whether I was sure we wouldn't join them. I said I was. Days after that, my sister called me. Blair had told her I was thinking about going while inviting her and her boyfriend. I, once again, told Blair we wouldn't go. Finally, Blair asked me if I'd be okay with her and my father taking my kids to Orlando. I said no, because we're not even in the same hemisphere as the US and I wouldn't let my young children travel to a different country without me or my husband. Last week, my sister babysat my kids while my husband and I went out. While we were gone, Blair visited to drop off a gift she and my father had bought for my husband. She also took the opportunity to tell my children we were all going to Orlando in July. My daughter didn't care about it much at first, I think she didn't really register it, but my son got very excited right away. He kept talking about how much he wanted to go to Disney and asking about the trip. And after watching her big brother like that, my daughter jumped on the bandwagon with him. It was both heartbreaking and infuriating to watch them like that. I called Blair and said she had two options: either she told my kids she'd lied and they weren't going to Orlando, or I did. I added that if she told them, she'd have the opportunity to apologize and explain herself, but if I did, I would not do that for her. Blair chose to call my children herself. I kept the phone on speaker to make sure she was apologizing, explaining everything, and making it clear we wouldn't go to Orlando in July. Both my children, especially my son, were upset, but my husband and I had a talk with them and managed to cheer them up. My father texted me yesterday. He said that he didn't appreciate the way I dealt with this. Blair is still upset and thinks my kids are mad at her now. He wants me to apologize or at least try to get my kids to forgive her, but I don't see why I should. She was the one who lied to my children, and I'm not responsible for Blair's feelings. We're still on this back and forth, and I can tell neither of us is particularly proud about this. Aita. Update: Aita for forcing my father's partner to take back a lie she told my children. I want to start off by saying my kids are both doing well. My daughter's birthday is coming up, which she's very excited about. My son is also doing better, but he's still a little upset. A few days after my first post, I was tucking him in when he asked me why Blair had been mean to them. There was no way to answer that question that felt fair to my children. She lied to them because she wanted to. She did what she did to manipulate us. I don't know whether she expected me and my husband to put our careers and sanities on hold to join them in July, or to let her take our children to fucking Florida without their parents. Either way, it's not happening. We weren't sure how to deal with this. Going low contact felt too much like a maybe, which I already know means yes in Blair, but cutting ties felt like too much. In the end, we decided on a timeout period. She won't have any type of contact with the kids until the holidays. We'll extend that period if necessary. I told both her and my father about this over the weekend. She cried, and my father and I fought again. There wasn't really anything remarkable about what was said at first. It just felt the same as other fights we've had in the past, so I didn't register much. Then he started comparing Blair to my children. One of the things he said was, when kids are excited about something, it's fine, but when Blair is, you have to rain on it. That's what really pissed me off. I told him Blair is not a child. If he wants to treat her like one, that's on them. But he can't expect me to parent a 40-something-year-old woman who can't understand the word no when it's said to her. I did have another conversation with my father the next day, and it was more peaceful. He apologized for most of what he said, but a lot of it sounded like damage control. I told him we needed some space. We're not cutting ties, but we'll probably have less contact for a while. In retrospect, I think I wrote that original post because I couldn't understand where Blair was coming from. Now I realize I don't have to. I've been tolerating Blair's behavior for years, but I can't allow my kids to be affected by it again. I think I explained my family mostly well in the comments last time, but feel free to ask me whatever you want to know. Stories number 8. He, 41M, wants me, 30F, to get my tubes tied because we said one and done, but things changed after his affair. How do I explain that? We have a son who just turned 3. For most of his baby years, I was in survival mode. I agreed we'd be one and done when I was pregnant. He didn't want to be an old dad and I struggled a lot with the pregnancy. He also grew up as an only child. Then when our son was about 6 months old, my husband confessed he'd had an affair that lasted almost 5 months. He said he was sorry and that he was struggling a lot and found being a dad claustrophobic. He was very remorseful and had confessed on his own accord. What followed was a year I can barely remember. We had a trial separation, did couples therapy and individual therapy. The entire experience robbed me off the newborn stage. I remember planning our son's first birthday party with one tab open for balloon garlands and the other researching divorce lawyers. We had a nanny for our son and at times it felt like she was the second parent. And now my sister just had a baby a year ago. A little girl. Our son is obsessed. He talks about her all the time. He begs to FaceTime her. We visit every couple of months, even though she's 3 states away, and every time we leave, he cries and asks when we'll see the baby again and if we will have his own baby sister. I think he'll be a good older brother. I always wanted a daughter. I love our son and wouldn't trade him for anything, but I have been having doubts about whether one and done is for me. My difficult pregnancy is one of many things holding me back though. I told my husband this and he's adamant that we shouldn't and said I should get my tubes tied because I previously agreed I should, mostly after the trauma of pregnancy. I'm not saying a baby would fix anything, but we can afford to. With our son we had a nanny that I still keep in touch with, so we would have help. I don't want to have a second for all the wrong reasons, but I do want to relive what I missed out on. Stories number 9. Aita broke up with heart surgeon BF over his mom's comments on me being a nurse. I am 27F and I am a nurse. I make good salary as private nurse for firm, which provides care for rich families. 6 figures in my country, not USA. I am proud of my career. I wanted to be doctor when I was teen, but it wasn't possible for my family to provide me medical education, and at that time I felt self-hate to be nurse. But by age of 20, I became a nurse. But now I love it. This job has made possible for me to buy my own house, car and travel outside the country. Good pension plan and other savings. I can raise a family on my own income. I have had a boyfriend, say Rob 28M, who is into heart specialty, and we felt in love during hospital visits. He was the one to pursue me. He is soon going to be heart surgeon. His mom has always made passive-aggressive comments about me being a nurse. We got engaged recently. And all of his relatives were at family dinner party, held by Rob's parents last week. So his mom and aunts at dinner table joked around that a heart surgeon like Rob can get any female doctor as wife. Rob took offense and said Nia, me, is very much independent and makes a good salary herself to take care of whole family. But his mom went on. I have had enough. I have respect for housewives, but this time I fired back. I said his mom and aunts all are gold-digging housewives, with no life skills outside raising kids. They live on their husband's money who are rich. Some of them started crying. And started shouting. Everyone including Rob asked me to apologize. I broke up on spot. And said I will not sell my self-respect for his family. I rather marry a normal man than a surgeon, whose family doesn't respect me. I left and Rob is begging for a chance. I know he tried to silence his mom. But I don't see the future. I see a lifetime of taunts, and I can't ask him to cut off his parents. Which he won't do anyways. My parents are saying, he is a good catch and to ignore his mom's comment. But money isn't everything and social status isn't everything. I don't want to be looked down upon. But I miss him and it is breaking my heart. Edit. More to add. He has tried to stop their comments whenever I told him it bothered me. He said try to ignore, and whenever he tried arguing with them, they said it is just joking and he shouldn't disrespect elders. Also after marriage, we would have shifted to house next door. I would never have peace in my life, I realized. He will never cut them off, nor will I force anyone. It's better to end. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, girl, you chose you and I respect that heavy. Like, yeah, love is cute and all, but not when it comes with a side of disrespect from the in-laws buffet. You don't sign up for a lifetime of microaggressions just to be someone's respectable nurse wife when you're already out here thriving. His mom acting like you're some peasant for not being a doctor, meanwhile you're out here making 6 figs, traveling, owning property. Be serious. And Rob might be a sweetheart, but if he can't put his mom on mute when she's coming for your whole existence, then what's the point? You didn't lose a heart surgeon, you dodged a future group chat full of backhanded compliments and, when are you going back to school, vibes. You're the prize. Always were. Keep the crown on. OOP responds to a comment regarding her culture and the family system. Reply, yeah, and in our culture, family system is strong. So I would be expected to be available Dill. But that is what scares me. I want a mill who respect me. Not someone who makes my life hell every day. And I love him. It hurts. But I see dark future. If I get married and have kids, I will be trapped forever. Commenter 2, so let me get this straight, his mom thinks he can do better than a 6-figure earning nurse? Maybe she should consider applying for the role of family drama queen instead. Reply, I don't want to boast, but I make on par and even better than some non-surgery doctors. But I am a nurse and that is what bothers her. Commenter 3, fuck yeah NTA, I can imagine his mom's passive-aggressive comments would drive me nuts too. Like, if she has a problem with you as an engaged woman, what makes her think it'll magically stop after you're married? Some people just don't know when to keep their mouth shut and mind their own business. Silly me, I guess I'm still naive enough to believe in fairy tales where the wicked stepmother, or MIL, turns into a supportive partner once the wedding bells chime. But hey, at least you stood up for yourself and your hard-earned career, don't let anyone make you feel less than what you are. Update. Hi, I deleted old ID as I didn't want to continue. But most comments gave me sense and I am thankful. Rob and I met after that event few days after I made the original post. He came to my place to discuss. My brother was there. But I sent him to other room before Rob came and he didn't know my brother was there. I just wanted to be secure. He cried and I cried too. But I told him the only way it is possible for me to get with him is that we have to shift far from his parents and limited contact from my side with his family and our future kids. He said it isn't possible and his family will be great support system for us. He told he will make huge amount of money and I can continue part-time when we have kids, as he will pay me around my salary to spend. My independence is something I value and I refused. I told him that his mother will not raise my kids and I won't leave my job. He got angry and our discussion became heated. And in anger, he slapped me hard and literally ripped my shirt when he held my arm. I am 5 feet 9 inches woman, but a 6 feet muscle man made me realize how weak I felt physically at that moment. I called my brother out and when he saw blood from my nose and ripped shirt, he lost it. And beat Rob to pulp that I had to stop him. In end, we called his family and police got involved. It was decided he won't press charges if I don't because it will ruin his career and I also wanted no trouble for my brother. But I have restraining order in process. The relationship is all over. My love went to zero with that slap of his. His mother begged me not to file charges. Anyways, thanks Reddit for opening my eyes. I never knew my ex was like this before this incident. Because he never raised hand on me. If my brother wasn't there, I don't know what could have happened to me. I got camera installed couple of days back. Though I will sell this house and buy a house in my parents' neighborhood. This is finished chapter of my life and I will not date someone for months. I am going to 3 weeks trip to Europe this summer and want to heal my heart and soul. This is my final update. Thank you, edit. Who find it fake can buzz off from my post. If it was fake, I won't have deleted my ID back then and made an update post ASAP. I suffered and took break from social media. Finally got energy to update you guys. Because I got lot of support earlier. Some are saying I am not non-native English speaker. I don't know why. Some think I am teenager because I use lot of you etc. type short forms. It is very common way of communication in my country and it comes in my writing style. Top comments. Commenter 1, NTA. Thank heavens you found out how abusive he is. I'm sorry that you were injured. You should file charges. Go scorched earth. Tell him that he can thank his mother. Commenter 2. Wish your brother hadn't beat him up because your ex deserved criminal charges that would ruin his life. Happy you've left him though. Commenter 3, you made the right choice, OP. A slap is a one too much. Thanks God your brother was there to protect you from more harm. Just make sure that you gather evidence about the slap, etc. Just in case you need to press charges later. I hope that Rob has no power on your career. Take good care of yourself, OP. Big hugs from Europe, France. Stories number 10. Aita for telling others about the family therapist firing my dad and his wife. My mom died when I, 16, was 11. My dad remarried last year. I didn't like it and I acted up. I still don't like it, full disclosure. But I was a terror and made life harder for them. I felt like dad betrayed me and my mom by marrying again and so fast too, but my biggest thing was they expected her to slot right in like she was suddenly my parent too and someone who got to make decisions for me. It was things like giving me new chores, telling me how to dress and what I should eat, where I should and shouldn't go, trying to make me explain my homework to her and expecting to let her review it. Shit like that I hated and I would get so mad that I'd scream at her. And at dad when he backed her up. So I'd sneak out, I was rude to them, I wouldn't listen to her and other stuff like that. My dad tried talking to me. But he talked to me before he met her too. He made promises about how it would be just us until I was ready to move out. He promised me he needed a lot of time before he could think about dating again because he loved my mom so much. Then he's already dating someone and they're getting married and I was still 15 and couldn't just leave. And not only that but he was acting like she was now my parent too. I felt like that wasn't fair. Hell date and keep her from moving in but they had clearly talked about how she'd be a parent once she moved in because they were on the same page with that stuff. When things were getting so bad that dad was worried I'd run away, and I considered it, and I stayed out all night sometimes, he told us we needed family therapy. Strike one in family therapy was my dad and his wife refused the therapist's suggestion of each of us getting solo sessions too. They just wanted the group sessions. Strike two was the way they would talk over me when I was asked what I would be okay with or would like to see. The therapist said if me, the teen, could listen then so could they. Strike three was dad arguing back against the therapist and his wife calling her useless. Dad said she was not giving good advice and that he didn't need to consult me on who could and couldn't come into our home or help him parent me. He said he didn't care if he sounded like an ass to me but he had decided his wife was deserving of equal respect and authority. Strike four which was the final strike was they refused to compromise. I already had. I stopped being so disrespectful and getting into so much trouble. I did ignore my dad's wife a lot because I couldn't handle talking to her with how she talked to me, but I wouldn't go anywhere without asking or stay out all night, and I didn't call her and I stopped calling her names. But they refused to discuss her not being my parent. The therapist even told me if she got them to agree it would be reevaluated and discussed more over time. That she might end up with some parental-like authority eventually. But they said she was staying my parent and they weren't willing to discuss it. They told the therapist she was meant to make me get on board with that, so the therapist told them they were wasting her time and she wouldn't see us all anymore. She did say she'd continue to see me since I worked with her, but my dad said no way, and so none of us are going back. They're pissed that she fired them. I found it hilarious. I told my friends, I told different family members, I told the neighbor who dad would tell all our shit to before. And my dad hates it. He told me I'm trying to humiliate them and it's personal business, not public. I told him if he could tell people our business then so could I. He told me I was enjoying it too much. Then we got into another fight. But hey, I just went into my room instead of sneaking out. Dad and his wife are blaming me because dad's side of the family are giving them shit for getting fired from therapy. Stories number 11. Aita for saying my brother shouldn't have brought his pregnant GF to my wedding and for refusing to let her be in my wedding photos. I got married last weekend. I'm still so pissed off at what my brother did. He took all of the attention off of me and my husband. Normally, I don't feel the need to be the center of attention, but this was my freaking wedding day. I feel like it's all anyone was talking about during the wedding, and now it's like the main thing any of them even remember from the entire thing. It was a destination wedding within the US, so nothing crazy. We kept the guest list to our families, immediate and extended, as well as closest friends. My parents paid for our immediate family to arrive about 5 days ahead of time. So, it was my parents, my sister, and I initially, and my brother arriving a few days later. We knew my brother was bringing a date. No big deal. He said he was just bringing a girl from school. He didn't even call her his girlfriend officially. My parents showed up at the airport to pick my brother up, and there he was, hand in hand with an obviously pregnant girl that none of us have ever met. My parents were obviously taken aback. My brother greeted them like everything was normal, according to my mom, and my parents didn't really know what to do or say. Then he just said, "Surprise." My poor mom almost fainted and claims my dad yelled out, "WTF have you done?" He introduces us to this girl, but doesn't clarify if she's his girlfriend and doesn't give us much info at all really. It was very weird. It was obvious that she was uncomfortable. She said she wasn't feeling well and needed to go lay down after the flight. So, at dinner it was just our family as she was resting. We were all awkwardly sitting around the table eating dinner, barely saying a word. My mom finally says, "Brother's name, is that your baby?" By then we all assumed it was, but my mom needed confirmation. The lack of any real explanation or details from him up until then was just odd. He admitted it's technically not his baby, but he's in love with her and intends on being a father to the baby anyway. The actual father isn't involved and doesn't want to be, and if they get married then he can adopt the baby so he'll legally be the father. She's living with him and none of us knew this either. He's been her main support person throughout the entire thing. She's 28 weeks, well 29 now since this was over a week ago. I think this was worse than what we had all assumed. So in love with her that he's going to take on the responsibility of her child and marry her, yet we've never even heard of her. He said he has mentioned her quite a few times. Well, maybe he's mentioned her name in passing, not to me, maybe to my parents, but never said she was his girlfriend or pregnant. None of us understand. He's 21, about to graduate college, planning to enter law school next, and he's an attractive guy. Why would he do this? My parents, especially my mom, were stressing out about it all weekend long throughout my entire wedding weekend. It was like my wedding became an afterthought. All my parents could talk about was how to make my brother change his mind about this girl. Then, when the wedding photographer was taking family pictures, he wanted her in them. That was really the breaking point for me. She isn't family. None of us knew about their relationship, and we met her 2 days prior. She shouldn't be in our official family pictures from my wedding. It's like forget the bride and groom, look at random heavily woman hitching herself to my brother. No, I told him no. I refused to let her be in the photos. My mom made me allow her to be in one picture, but said we don't have to buy that one or put it in display anywhere. It just made my blood boil. Anyway, I don't think he should have brought her. There was no reason to bring her to my wedding, especially without warning. I mean, it's all my side of the family could talk about, and he was reticent to even correct them about it not being his baby. He said that's because it was awkward for her to have to explain the full scenario to everyone, so he just let people think what they wanted. Because he wouldn't at least say something, everyone was gossiping and wondering about it the whole time. I'm posting this because I'm upset that several friends and even my own mom are telling me I'm overreacting and just need to accept it. When I told a group of my coworkers about it after the fact, they weren't at the wedding, they agreed with me and thought what my brother did was absolutely insane and rude. Notable comments. Commenter 1. Had the brother introduced her at home, his parents might have completely lost their shit on him. At OP's wedding, he thought his parents would be focused on the wedding and their response would be muted. I would be pissed too. Commenter 2. It probably wasn't about wanting attention as much as it was about using your event. Your parents couldn't make too much of a stink about his situation because that would ruin your wedding. And it also enabled him to push for rapid acceptance, which is why he wanted her in the pictures. From his perspective, he's now past the most awkward parts of telling everyone and getting her included, and nobody could argue too much because it would have disrupted things for you. Commenter 3. Weddings aren't a place to make announcements or give surprises, unless it's the bride and groom doing the announcing. I agree with some of the other commenters that think he was using your wedding as a shield so that no one could really blow up at him. I feel bad for the poor girl though your brother was such a coward that he had to drag her on a plane just to introduce her to his family. I imagine she felt the tension and won't entirely feel welcomed into the family now that you all know the baby isn't your brother's. Commenter 4. I don't think I would have attended your wedding if I was the pregnant girl because no one in your family even knew about her. Your wedding was not a good place for introductions or getting to know each other, unless your bro never told the girl that none of you knew about her. I can't help but feel there's more to this, on your brother's behalf, I mean, who does that? I agree about the wedding photos but your mom was correct to have one photo with her in it, in case she is a permanent family member. Don't let this overshadow your wedding day. Wedding days are important but not near important as the decades that follow. Yes, really, I'm married almost 37 years. Comments by me. I'm not looking for attention. I'm looking to vent and see if most people would feel the same way if this happened to them. I'm frustrated that several friends are telling me it's not a big deal, as if they wouldn't be upset if this happened to them. It's not that I was mad about him bringing somebody I'd never met before. I didn't expect him to bring a pregnant girlfriend, announce he basically plans to become a father and husband, and then ask for her to be included in the wedding photos. Even if she wasn't pregnant, I think it'd be weird and rude to request for his girlfriend who none of us knew about be included. Just because I was fine with him bringing a date that we'd never met doesn't mean I was fine with the rest of it. He could have told us ahead of time at the very least. Oh, I am concerned about him ruining his life. It's almost all my parents could talk about all weekend. We all think he's insane and that this will be a gigantic mistake. In her defense, she seemed very uncomfortable the entire time and I don't think she wanted to be there. I think my brother may have forced this on her as well. I don't think I would have been so upset about her presence if we had just known ahead of time. He had months to tell us what was going on. There's no reason he had to spring it on us and our entire family at my wedding. He's 21. This decision could affect the entire trajectory of his life. It's like he's cleaning up somebody else's mistake and he's going to suffer because of it. He's the youngest child. He definitely gets away with more than my sister and I ever could. Anything he does usually gets forgiven. If he wasn't 21 and still in college I might feel differently regarding his decision. I wouldn't feel differently about the way we found out, but I might be more supportive in general if circumstances were different. I don't think he did it to be malicious. I don't think he thought about what he was doing to me. He also hasn't apologized though. If after being told something you did was rude and hurtful, at least own up to it. Yes, he's basically a baby himself still and is not prepared to be somebody's dad. He said they were friends for 2 years, but it didn't turn romantic until after she was pregnant. Yeah, it was still a beautiful ceremony and everything else went exactly as I wanted it. Somebody comments it must have been a prank to not have admitted that by now, he'd truly have to hate me. That would almost be worse because it'd mean he intentionally planned to do this to me. I'm at least giving him the benefit of that doubt that he didn't fully realize what this would do to me as the bride. He's 21 and he's had a string of girlfriends going back to probably about 5th grade. He almost always has a girlfriend. The seriousness of most of these relationships is questionable, but that's to be expected for his age. If I were her, I would have absolutely refused to attend. My parents pay for where he lives, and for where his girlfriend is now apparently living. I asked them if they were going to stop paying and they said, well, we can't make them homeless. They also paid for a huge chunk of his college tuition. They paid for a small fraction of my tuition and told me if I wanted to move out of the dorms I would have to pay for that myself. I did move into an apartment with a boyfriend eventually, but my parents didn't help out. My mom criticized me for living with my boyfriend without being married, and we couldn't even afford furniture. They say they were just in a better financial position by the time my brother went to college, and they admitted they should have helped me more and just didn't realize. They learned from their mistakes and decided to do things differently once my brother went off to school. But, they did pay for a lot of my wedding. My husband and I also contributed financially to the wedding, right? I didn't think I had any reason to request to meet his date prior to the wedding. He literally said he was bringing a girl from school. Like, that's a bridezilla, requiring a visual inspection of all wedding guests prior to the big day. Plus, it wasn't a huge guest list. I wouldn't call it an intimate guest list, but it was mostly my extended family and his extended family and a small group of very close friends. So about half of the people there were my family, who were all very surprised and curious about what was going on with my brother. Some people even asked me at the reception. He asked us not to tell anyone the truth about him not being the father. I respected that. Well, I told my friends, but I didn't tell anyone in our family. Even though I was annoyed, I still followed his wishes. He knows our parents well enough to know that's how they'd react. That's probably a big reason he didn't tell them about all of this sooner. I don't know how aware she was of the fact none of us knew anything about her. I wasn't going to make her stay back at the house. I'm not that rude, even if I was upset about it. I didn't even tell her directly that I didn't want her in the pictures, and I wouldn't have said that to her face. She didn't even seem like she wanted to be in the pictures. She seemed very uncomfortable. She was 28 weeks pregnant and very obviously so. It wasn't a case of anyone blurting it out. YOOP didn't disinvite the girlfriend. I'm just not the type of person who could do that. I also didn't tell her directly that I didn't want her in the pictures. I wasn't trying to hurt her. She seemed uncomfortable. They don't want him to make this decision and derail his whole life. If they stop paying for where he, and now she, lives, it would make things considerably more difficult for him, and maybe he might wake up. As it is, he's already hitting that he may delay law school because of this. He's graduating in a few months. He was planning to go to law school immediately following, but now he's hinting that he'll delay that since he'll obviously need to have a full-time job to support a baby. Oh, and she took a leave of absence from school due to her pregnancy, so he'll need to support her while she goes back. He hasn't outright said he's going to delay his plans, but he's dropped several hints. He can't even fully support himself now. My parents pay for much of his life. So, if they continue to do that, they'll be paying for this girl and her baby too. It's not fair to do to our parents. The thing is, it's almost all my mom could talk about for the entire weekend. So, now she's telling me to just try to get over it, not my brother's decision. She's still in knots over that, but the way he announced it. Part of the reason I'm so upset is that at every turn my mom was fretting and crying about it to somebody. There were 86 guests. Both of my siblings were invited to bring a guest. My sister brought her girlfriend, who we already knew would be coming. I only felt it was fair to allow my brother to bring a date if he wanted. He had a very casual girlfriend at the time I told him that, and they were no longer together by the time official invites went out. I wasn't going to take back the invite for a guest, and I really wasn't bothered by the idea of him bringing a random girl just for a good time. I didn't think I'd have to check first, is she visibly pregnant? Are you planning on telling everyone you're getting married and having a baby at my wedding? Actually, he does have a relationship with all of us, but we don't all live in such close proximity that we're physically seeing each other for Sunday dinner. I live about 35 minutes away from my parents. My sister lives in another state. My brother attends college in another state. We have a family group chat, we video chat, we all have social media and follow each other there, but my brother has never been one to post a lot of personal things there. He didn't come home for Christmas this year though, which was a hint. Even as adults, we've all come home for Christmas every year, slept in our parents' house on Christmas Eve, act like little kids again. We were all really bummed that he wasn't there. Of course we talked to him throughout Christmas and we all sent him gifts, but now it makes a lot more sense. He was actually with her at her family's for Christmas. Heck, Christmas would have been a better time to spring this on us than at my wedding. I saw him once back in the fall, he had come home for something, my mom was getting an award that's a pretty big deal in her industry and he came home to surprise her for that, but he never said a word about what was going on, seemed like everything was completely normal, he was just focusing on school and just same old same old. She's 21 and looks even younger. Very pretty girl, also very vulnerable looking to the point where I would never have been able to say anything rude to her face. I can see why he fell for it hook, line and sinker, but he's thinking with his heart and with what's between his legs and nothing in his actual head. Would it be totally inappropriate for me to give him a shirt in my white knight era? Update. I think I might be about to do what I'm assuming very few people come here to do. I'm sharing an update and want to say that in hindsight I think I was actually the asshole in my situation. You can see my original post on my profile. I think I was riding high on wedding hormones and center of the universe vibes at the time, but I've slowly come down to earth in the many weeks since I last posted. I let my worry about the gossip about my brother and his girlfriend get in the way of me enjoying my day, and there's no way to go back and change it. I also realized that I should have just agreed to do one photo with his girlfriend included. One photo wouldn't have been important and it didn't have to be considered the official photo of me and my family that I put in my wedding album or hung on the wall. Instead, I chose to be a witch to somebody I was meeting for the first time and we already felt very uncomfortable. For many weeks after I made my first post, I was sure I was not the asshole. My he has deflated and I've had a talk with my brother about it. We both came to the conclusion that in our family we didn't really learn how to have difficult conversations about things that we knew might make somebody else uncomfortable, which is why I couldn't calmly voice my feelings to my brother on my wedding day and instead acted like a spoiled child. It's also why instead of having a normal conversation with our parents to let them know that he was dating somebody who was pregnant by somebody else and that he was going to be raising this baby as his own, he panicked and decided to just announce it without actually having to voice it to them at all, and my wedding just so happened to be the first occasion he had to do so. I don't think he mentioned to hurt me. Several people have asked me about an update on my brother and his girlfriend. Well, she's his wife now. They got married. They're still together, living together. We've gotten to know her a little better and she's not as bad as we all wanted to make her out to be. I think she genuinely loves my brother and my brother loves her, she just so happened to be pregnant when they met and they both acknowledge it's a bit unusual. My brother is the type who brings all the stray animals home, so I think we all sort of worried that he just felt bad for her and wanted to help her and protect her, but I think it's more than that. I went to her baby shower. She seems perfectly normal and nice, and really crazy about my brother. The baby was finally born at 41 weeks and of course my brother was there. The baby is several weeks old now. Half the time I forget that the baby isn't actually my brother's baby and isn't actually related to us by blood. After my wedding, my parents started to get more concerned about the whole situation with my brother. My mom became the most judgmental one. My brother talked to our dad and eventually got him to realize that my brother is an adult and he's going to do what he wants to do. Eventually my dad was like, "You're right, and I'd rather just support you here." My mom couldn't get on board. She wouldn't let herself even give his girlfriend wife a chance. She convinced herself that my brother was just being manipulated and taken advantage of by this evil woman. She told everyone that too. So things were sort of tense because I felt somewhat in the middle at that point. But now, my mom has been the only person to babysit since the birth. It's like she saw the baby and forgot all about everything and she's all buddy-buddy with his wife now. I'm shocked that this woman has decided to not completely cut my mom out of the baby's life altogether, but perhaps she's a bigger person than all of us. Comments by OOP. My brother has a big heart and can't resist helping somebody who he determines is in need. We worried about whether he was genuinely with her because he was in love with her or if he was with her because he felt bad about her situation and had convinced himself he was in love with her. This is how we sort of looked at the situation previously, not currently. I wasn't comparing her to an animal, but honestly, animals are better than humans anyway. I didn't have to come back here and admit to anything. Nobody is forcing me to admit it. I've received several messages asking me for an update and finally decide to post one, admitting the truth as I see it now. I'm not comparing her to a stray animal. I was only trying to explain that my brother likes to rescue things and the entire situation was just odd to all of us at the time. Those are thoughts I previously had, and I admitted I was previously the asshole. I don't really remember what I responded to most people and honestly haven't gone back to reread it because it's a bit too embarrassing now. Editor's note, that's what I'm here for. It wasn't the fact that she was pregnant. It was the fact that until the wedding, nobody in our family even knew she existed, let alone met her. She was also pregnant with somebody else's baby. But like I said, I've admitted I was the asshole. Stories number 12. My wife is leaving me for a surgeon. My wife is a nurse at a hospital. She doesn't work in surgery but she met the surgeon at her place of work. My wife and I have 2 children together. The surgeon she cheated on me with is also married and he has 6 children. I think he had children with more than one woman. I'm making assumptions off his socials I found on my wife's phone. My understanding is that there isn't 6 kids in this surgeon's house full time. Honestly, I had a feeling something was going on when my wife freaked out when I grabbed her phone. I wasn't even going to check anything like that. I forgot what I had to do on her phone that day, but her reaction to me even grabbing her phone I could never swipe from my memory. She's been cheating on me with this surgeon on and off for a year. She talked about leaving me. Making plans of leaving me so she can be with him. They both seem to actually love each other. It's more than physical. They went out on dates out of town too. I remember she said she's going to spend Valentine's Day with the girls and I saw from hidden photos on the date of the picture she took with that surgeon, she was with him on Valentine's Day. What hurts is that my wife called me a loser when she was texting her friends about the affair. She's embarrassed because she works in the medical field and I'm just a warehouse worker. I recently got promoted to warehouse manager and I was excited about it and I thought she would be happy for me and she was like, "Oh nice, you're still doing the warehouse gig." Sorry, I'm not a doctor, sorry I'm not someone you respect or look up to because of my profession. Sorry I don't make enough money for you. We were high school sweethearts. She used to love me when I had no job and when I had a job. She loved me when we were young. She changed so much. She has become so resentful of my income and my job title. I've known this for a while now, but I didn't think she would cheat on me and throw away our family for this guy. She was talking about how she wouldn't take full custody from me because I'm a good dad and then joked, "Also I know your house is a 7-bedroom but we would have way too many kids, it'll feel like we run a Chuck E. Cheese." Yeah, that's her exact text word for word. God, I'm fucking hurt. ETA, suggestions for reporting to HR is not going to happen. They don't care. They aren't doing anything illegal and they aren't breaking any policy. This is seen as a personal issue like a home issue. The hospital isn't firing anyone for cheating on their spouse. Unless if it's sexual harassment or it's not consensual, they don't care. Stories number 13. Aita for calling my mom out and saying she wasn't a good mom in front of our counselor. Hello all, I, 23F, am in sort of a pickle and currently my majority of my family is against me. My mother, 41F, has 6 kids altogether. Myself, my sisters, F22, F19, F17, F16, and my brother, M23. Growing up was sort of H*LL for all of us. My mother never had a good track record of picking good men, and a lot of times me and my siblings would witness her boyfriends beat her or berate her. Her second boyfriend would often hit us when me and my siblings were younger as well. It's a whole lot more, but then this post would be very long. However, about 5 years ago, my mother lost custody of my 3 younger sisters. There was some *Zol abuse going on with my mother's most recent ex-boyfriend. We didn't want our sisters in foster care, so me and my brother begged our grandmother to take them in, until me and my brother could come up with a plan or take custody of them. Dramatic I know, but it's always just been me and siblings against the world in my eyes. My grandmother, the saint she is, took my sisters and told me and my older brother not to worry about getting custody of them because we should be focusing on our lives and college. While me and my brother were hesitant at first, we decided to head off to college to kinda build up some status, I should say. I dropped out of college because I couldn't afford to keep up with the cost and get my tuition down below a certain cost. However, my brother graduated last year. Smiley face. My sisters have been happy with living with my grandmother and my grandmother loves having them around. She says she gets to see her grandbabies every day and it's a blessing. They are comfortable living with her and my grandmother has no change of still caring for them. But back on course with my mom. When she lost custody, me and all my siblings with no contact with her, including my grandmother. Around 2 months ago, my mother sent me an email explaining that she would like to get back in contact with us and do family therapy. At first I didn't say anything to my siblings because in a sense I felt like I was protecting them. However, she sent me a second email the following month after explaining that she broke up with her boyfriend and she really missed us. She wanted to do family therapy because she had a lot of pain built up and she knew that we probably did as well. I talked with my grandmother about it and she told me that I should ask my siblings if they wanted to and have it be their choice. I spoke with my siblings about it and the youngest were on board because they did miss our mom. However, myself and my other siblings were hesitant. But, for the sake of my younger siblings, I responded to her and we set up a time to meet up. About 3 weeks ago, we met up at a restaurant and my mother looked exhausted, but eager to see us. I declined a hug because I wasn't comfortable with it and my mother looked pissed. My mom got caught up with all of us and she asked during our lunch if my younger siblings would consider coming back home and her getting custody back. My younger siblings said they weren't sure and I could tell they looked uncomfortable. I tried to change the subject, but my mom wrapped it back around. She started mentioning on how we all could be a family again now that we're older and she can rebuild what was broken. The rest of the meeting became a blur for me because I honestly checked out. A lot of buried emotions were coming up and I shut down. After the meeting, I got an email from my mom later that night that she was really upset that I didn't hug her or say goodbye to her when we left. She said it was giving a bad impression to my younger siblings and they would probably start mistreating her as well. I'm not going to lie, that email filled me with anger because she had a lot of audacity. I didn't respond and I got another email from her, but it was a confirmation for our first family therapy session. We had it yesterday. We did the usual first introductory process and getting familiarized. Later during the session, my mom was going on and on of how she did everything she could to protect us and etc. The silence from me and my siblings were pretty loud and our counselor therapist asked how we felt about that. My other siblings didn't speak. I wasn't planning on speaking either, but then what my mom said just made me snap. She told our therapist that I told them not to say anything because I wanted to turn my siblings against her, and she scheduled this session to help us and not split us apart. After that, I just went off. I started screaming that she wasn't a good mother and she did nothing to protect us. She constantly vented to me about her relationships or her problems. This led me to internalize a lot of her issues as my own or my stressors. She never protected my brother when her boyfriends would beat on him when he tried to protect either her or my sisters. She never even thought of reporting her ex when my sisters first came to her about the abuse they experienced at his hands. I went off on a lot of other things, but at this point she was bawling and so were my siblings. I told my therapist that if anyone was splitting the family up, it was her with her stupidity, ignorance, and just flat-out neglect. I was breathing hard after the incident, and after thinking about it, I'm not happy at all I blew up like that. My therapist decided we should take a break, but I told them I was just done. I was not going to sit here and listen to her trying to blame me for her actions or her problems. The session ended quickly after that, and later on in the night, my phone started blowing up with calls and texts from my mother's side of the family. They started berating me and saying that I was a horrible person for hurting my mother like that and making her feel horrible. They were on a tangent on how she was trying to turn a new leaf and actually work at rebuilding her relationships with us. After all the calls and texts, I've been feeling like a shitty person for saying that to my mom. So honestly, Ada, relevant comments. With my family, I honestly don't even know where to begin. I'm crying because the support has been extremely overwhelming, and for once I'm feeling heard and seen. Outside of my grandmother, of course. I truly appreciate the support. I have tried to read all the comments, but they keep rolling in. Again, thank you guys so much. I will add some context, seeing as I didn't elaborate much because I didn't want to have type a novel and have anyone read so much. My grandmother, she is my mom's mom. She cut her off because my mom would constantly steal money from her or sneak boys into the house when she knew my grandmother wouldn't like it. My grandmother is a SA survivor of my grandfather, my mom's dad. My grandmother actually took him to court to get him arrested, which is why she is essentially the black sheep to majority of our family. My grandmother explained to me when I was much older that our family has a lot of SA history from family members. Our family is highly religious and feels as though we should pray over them every day to heal them. Why I felt awful. My mother is also a victim of abuse. And I felt like I was being a hypocrite for calling her out and saying what I said, because it was as though I wasn't taking her abuse into account either. However, as many of you have mentioned, even with her being a victim, she still let the abuse happen. I think reading that is what made me start crying. Myself and my siblings never got counseling because we just thought it was our fault we experienced the abuse. In our talks before, we often tried to hold the burden of not protecting our mom more. My mom's side of the family, they are enablers and abusers themselves. My grandmother has countless stories about them. I feel as thought apart them wants my siblings and I to make up so we can appear to be a happy family. They do have a serious issue with appearances. My siblings, my brother is the real star of the show, honestly. Before we even made it to the first session, he told my youngest sister that mom will probably say a lot of things, but if she wasn't ready to talk or if she wanted solo therapy, he would pay for it in full. After the session, she decided to do so because she has a lot of complicated feelings about our mom. My other sisters are still emotionally distraught. They did thank me for saying the truth and what needed to be said. They said they couldn't say anything because they didn't know how to word it. Yet again, like me, they didn't want to be cruel. I truly appreciate all of the comments and the reassurance. I sent my grandmother the post and she said all of you guys are rock stars and that a majority of you are right that my mother is a C***NT. If you guys have any more questions, please feel free to ask. This has been doing great steps for me to get my own therapy because I did let a lot of this build up over years. My tangent to my mom went on for a few minutes before I had to stop because I was so pissed. Commenter, she tried manipulating you into manipulating your sisters into agreeing with custody after gaslighting you for not being loving with her. Then she lied to the counselor about how she treated you in her relationships and in her custody. Then lied about you influencing your sisters. If that counselor was worth her observations, she'd see through your mother's BS. Definitely get therapy, but without your mother. She doesn't want to fix things with her children. She probably wants the money that comes with support of your youngest sisters. Why would she alienate you if she wants to reunite the family? Reply, I'm pretty sure our counselor did. During my outburst I noticed her writing a lot on her notepad. I'm pretty sure my mom will try to reach out to her to force contact or try to schedule another session, but I'm honestly declining it. She has already proved that she will continue to not protect us or even apologize. Commenter, no pente. She made that meeting about her, didn't she? She had it coming. Her side of the family is only hearing her side of the story, and of course she's telling all of them you wanted to turn your siblings against her. JFC, what delusional BS is this? Your mom isn't ready to mother any of you. She's needs a few more years of proving herself before she can even ask that question. I'm hoping your grandma is on your side, sounds like she is. Do your siblings feel like you were out of line? Or do they agree with you? Perhaps have a convo with them and see what they feel and want to do. Good luck OP. Reply, my siblings agreed with me. Our grandmother always taught us to not be unnecessarily cruel to people. However, she did tell me that sometimes you have to tell a MF about they self. Her exact words. My siblings were a bit alarmed at how pissed I was because they never saw me like that. My sister described me as a mama bear protecting her cubs, love. My brother was originally telling me to calm down during the session, but when I brought up the abuse he experienced due to her inactive behavior, he came on my side and told me as such. Update, Aita for calling my mom out and saying she wasn't a good mom in front of our counselor. Hey all, update for those who wanted it, also heavy abuse TW because I will get emotional and vent a bit later on in this update. If you are a childhood abuse survivor, I wouldn't recommend reading past this since it could possibly be triggering. My siblings and I have decided to go NC with our mother for good. It was a hard conversation this morning and I felt like a AH again. I felt like my outburst persuaded them to make that decision, so I wouldn't be upset with them. Yet they reassured me throughout the whole conversation that they didn't like that she didn't even apologize. Even when she had the opportunity to. My siblings and I are still struggling with the fact that she won't change and she probably never will. The driving force for it was the email that I got from mother at 4 a.m. today. I copied and pasted it here since I don't know how to post pic screenshots on mobile. Dear Juju, my nickname when I was younger. I am truly hurt and devastated that you went public with a private matter. Your Auntie May showed me your Reddit post. And yet you continue to try to villainize me. I was going to explain myself further in therapy, but I'm in a new relationship now with a very loving man. He was the main one who encouraged me to extend an olive branch with you all. I was going to surprise you and your siblings in therapy. However, you ruined it. I stayed my distance from you all because after losing your sisters, it made me realize I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror anymore. It made me realize how much of a worthless piece of shit I was. You calling me a worthless whore of a mother was uncalled for. In those relationships I couldn't just simply walk away. Where would I have gone? What about you guys? Do you not think it ate me up inside every time you guys cried? Every time I did try to protect you guys just to get the shit beat out of me? Being knocked out cold and not knowing if you guys were safe or not. Did any of that not matter to you? I'm trying to redeem myself while also being a victim and you simply can't get your own head out of your ass. You bitch and complain about your pain not realizing I was a victim too Juju. We all were. I hate to sound harsh, but you're an adult and can hear these things now. I tried my damn hardest to protect you all. For you to shit on all my effort in your rant and call me almost every name in the book in front of our therapist, your siblings, and the blatantly visible disrespect to me? All of it, truly uncalled for. I will not have contact with you until you apologize to me for what you said. You broke my heart Juju, but mama still loves you and me going no contact with you is to show that you can't just hurt someone because you yourself are hurting. I will be over to see your sisters later at my mom's place to talk one-on-one with them. I will appreciate it if you are there to apologize. But if you will not, then I highly ask that you not be there. The email really crushed me a lot. I completely understand that she was a victim as well. Like I also mentioned to a kind Redditor that messaged me last night, she did provide what she could. Yet there were many moments we either went hungry or without some necessities, SP. One of my most embarrassing moments was asking strangers on the street for money so me and my sisters could get pads and tampons. My mom's third boyfriend threw ours out because he didn't believe in periods. That whole ordeal, among others, were so damn humiliating. I got a mixture of anger and sadness when she said she tried her hardest to protect us. Where was the determination when her boyfriends would beat the hell out of me and my older brother because we didn't want them either alone with our sisters or touching our younger sisters? Where was she when she heard me getting SA in the room right next to her and heard me screaming for her? It's just a overwhelming sorrow because in her eyes, she did her best. But in my eyes, she did absolutely nothing and I told her as such and then some in our session. Like many of you pointed out, she may have been a victim, but she did nothing to protect us. I have to sit with that for the rest of my life. My siblings have to deal with that for the rest of their lives. I have to work through all the damage she caused while she gets to play hero and have her redemption arc. I'm done with her and I'm happy to know the feeling is mutual according to her. She did call my grandmother this morning during breakfast and demanded that she let her see her kids. My grandmother told her that she could try, but she wasn't coming past the gate unless my sisters wanted her to. My grandmother put her phone on speaker and asked my sisters if they wanted to see her. My youngest sister actually responded this time and said no. And not for a very long time at the minimum. My mom tried to scream at my grandmother, but I could hear her voice cracking from trying not to cry on the phone. My grandmother told her she could go F herself and don't call her again. After that, is when the conversation about no contact got put into overdrive. My siblings have their own memories of her to account for. They aren't comfortable with me sharing them, so I really just shared mine and a bit of my brother's. It's just all so surreal to me. I thought that maybe she was actually okay with being alone, but here she is, not being truthful of when she broke up with her most recent ex. I didn't ask because I don't even care anymore, yet she's already in a new relationship. It's a hard thing to grasp that my mother just can't be alone. I even feel disgusting calling her my mother because it stings to know that she never really was a mother. Not to me or my siblings. For my family that has been messaging me, I just blocked them on every social media platform. They stopped trying to call me since I set up my phone with an app to reject all calls from unknown numbers that aren't my contacts. As for my mom, I copied and posted my response here. Victoria, since you are no longer my mother, I have no need for formality. You make me absolutely sick to my stomach. You know of the pain you caused me and my siblings. You know you didn't do shit. You know that you never even had a grain of a maternal instinct. If you did, you never would have allowed us to get hurt. I know you can't sleep at night with those thoughts running around in your head. I hope for the rest of the life it eats you up inside. Your new boy toy will be the only thing by your side when you frail and almost dust. I'm done allowing you to hurt not only me, but my brother and sister as well. You have no right to try to prance your happy fake ass into our lives now that you see we are doing well without you. It hurts, doesn't it? To know that even through all the bullshit, we are 10 times the better person you could ever imagine in your twisted little head. You don't have to worry about me contacting you. I will have nothing to do with you. Even after your death, I will have no connection and hopefully no memories of you. You may still be alive and breathing. But to me, you are a shallow corpse of a stranger and I intend to keep it that way. You live in a fantasy world and I hope on your deathbed you have such a crippling feeling of regret that you croak on the spot. Don't ever contact me or my siblings again. My brother wants you to know he'll spit on your grave if he ever finds out you died, so sleep well with that, you fucking bitch. I'm not too proud of my response, but at this point she is dead to me. She should have been a long time ago, but it felt so good to get that pain from the most internal part of my chest. I'm pretty sure she won't put up a fight seeing as my words hurt her so much. If she does and her antics are crazy enough, I'll update again. However, for now I'm taking a well-deserved break and I'm signing myself up for therapy. I realize I have a lot of anger and resentment built up that I need to work through correctly and positively. Thank you guys for the support and the kind messages. I will be posting some of them on a vision board to help through my therapy. Thank you Reddit so much for being here in a time of need for a stranger. Love you all. Stories number 14. Aita for demanding to check my brother's girlfriend's bags before they leave my house. A bit of background here. I, 39F, have a brother, 32M, who I'll call Chase. Chase has been with this girl, 35F, that I'll call Vivian for almost 2 years now. About a month into their relationship, Vivian got pregnant with my nephew who is now almost a year old. Vivian also has 2 daughters, 5F and 8F, from a previous relationship. Her daughters are very close in age to my daughter, 7F, and up until last weekend everyone got along fine. They live in a different state than us but come to visit fairly often and stay with us because we have the extra room. Last weekend they came to stay again and about an hour before they left my daughter noticed that a few of her favorite toys were missing. The girls were playing all weekend so I didn't think much of it and offered to help her look for them. After about 20 minutes of searching we could not find the toys anywhere so I asked Vivian's girls if they remembered where they were playing with them last. The girls said no but acted a little guilty about it. I asked Chase and Vivian about it and Chase said he saw the exact toys in the room that Vivian's girls were sleeping in. We went to check and they were not there. He asked Vivian if she had moved them when she packed the girls' things that morning and she said they were not there. We went back into the living room and I saw Vivian's girls huddled close together over a backpack and quickly closed it when they saw we were there. Chase asked the girls again if they knew where the toys were and this time they didn't say anything and just looked at their mom. Chase reached for the bag and Vivian lost it. She started yelling at me how dare I accuse her daughters of stealing and she tried to snatch the bag away. Chase opened it and there were the missing toys plus a few more. I was absolutely furious. I told her I wanted to see what else she had and demanded she open the 2 suitcases. She said that was an invasion of her privacy and tried to take them and leave. Chase stopped her and made her open them. She had taken several tops, a few skirts and dresses, and a brand new pair of Nikes that belonged to my daughter. I took everything back and told her she and her girls were not allowed back into my home. I have since received several texts from her and a few unknown numbers telling me I embarrassed her and upset her girls because they were promised the items. Chase is upset with her but said I was too mean to her in front of everyone and that I could have handled the situation more privately. I do feel awful that her girls left crying but AITHA for how I handled the situation. Edited to add, answers to a few questions I keep getting. I am not sure who promised the girls the items. She would not elaborate but I'm assuming it was her. She wanted me to pull her aside into a different room away from Chase and the kids to talk the situation out. Also yes, I'm 99% sure the baby is his. He is almost a carbon copy of my brother when he was a baby. I do not believe the girls knew they were stealing the things. I really believe that their mom told them I said it was okay. We have never had problems with the girls before this, they really seem to be good kids. Also, I'll be talking with my brother tonight or tomorrow to discuss things further. Edit 2, I will be speaking with my brother in about an hour. I have been in contact with someone that knows her and a lot has come to light. I will update again if my brother says I can as it's his life and not mine. Vivian is not at all who she claims to be. Update 5.1, thank you all so much for the responses. I'm sorry I haven't been able to get to everyone's comments as I really didn't think this would take off. I talked with my brother last night and showed him a lot of your comments and suggestions and thanks to someone in the comments we now know a lot more about Vivian and the kind of person she really is. I will not be able to tell you all everything, but I can tell you that my brother and nephew are now staying with us while he gets a DNA test and proceeds to cut ties with her. I may have more to give you all in the coming days or weeks depending on what the paternity test says. Again thank you all so much. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA, holy shit that is a hot mess. You should not feel bad for their crying but you might talk to your brother about his terrible choice in partners. Reply, our family never really loved her but she has never done anything before this, to my knowledge, that was a major red flag. Unfortunately even if he does leave her he's stuck for another 17 years. Commenter 2, NTA, I may not have thought to open the suitcases, I would have thought the girls just stole the toys but the clothes makes it seem like it was Vivian's act, especially if the girls were promised them. Who else would promise them? Your brother, his wife and stepchildren shouldn't be invited back. Anyone saying anything to you can host them themselves or STFU. Reply, I normally wouldn't have thought to check either but the way she grabbed them and tried to leave set off all the warning bells in my head. Commenter 3, and who was there to be embarrassed in front of? It sounds like it was just your 2 families. You don't want to be called out as a thief, don't steal. Reply, I embarrassed her in front of Chase and my perfect daughter, as she called her. OOP on not letting Vivian and her daughters back into her house. Reply, they are no longer welcome back. My brother and nephew can stay anytime, but he'll have to leave them at home. Commenter 4, so she promised your daughter's clothing, shoes and toys to her children. Steals them, gets caught and you're the bad guy. Nope. Reply, in her words, your daughter has more stuff than all 3 of my kids combined. Commenter 5, NTA. But I would like to add that the timing of her quick pregnancy is suspect, with her behavior of stealing your daughter's things and acting entitled to taking them, it feels like she hooked up with your brother for financial reasons. Your brother may consider requesting a paternity test if when he decides to end the relationship. Reply, my family thought the same thing. The baby does look exactly like my brother so I do believe he is his, but you are probably onto something with the baby trapping. We knew her as a causal fling until she ended up pregnant. Are Chase and Vivian married? Reply, they are not married thank goodness. I'm hoping to talk some sense into him. Where is the girl's father? Reply, as far as I know the girl's dad has been in and out of the picture for the last 4 years. My brother pays for everything and provides for them. Commenter 6, she was using a fake name. And has a record? Holy shit, I was just gonna say your NTA but also like. Wow she's so much more evil than I expected, I'm so sorry you have to deal with this. Reply, not necessarily fake. Apparently she was married before the girl's dad and was telling us that the first husband's last name was her maiden name. I'm honestly sick because I now know we know absolutely nothing about this woman who has had access to my home for the last year and a half. Comments that lead to newer updates below. Mysterious, Cow, 3423, this story sounds very familiar but not for the reasons others are saying. Do the initials KAS apply to this post at all? Reply, please message me. Commenter 1, look, I don't know if KAS and OP know each other, and damn, do I want to, but if not, I think we need the story of KAS anyway. It's unfortunately her. Well, this has certainly blown up, but who am I to deny the people of what they want? KAS lore. For obvious reasons I'm going to be a little vague with certain details for privacy reasons. Mainly I don't want this crazy train coming back into my life, and hopefully you'll understand why by the end. So buckle up bitches, this one is long and wild. And please don't judge me, we don't associate with any of these people anymore and haven't for over a decade. Also, I will say that she is a very pretty girl and has usually gotten whatever she wants from men, so she's not used to hearing no. 2005, when I was 18, my then boyfriend, now husband, and I were invited to a house party hosted by a friend of a friend to celebrate graduation. We knew about half the people there and had been to the house a handful of times before. We were all hanging out in the basement, and after a few drinks I went upstairs to use the bathroom, and that's where I met KAS, who was 14 at the time. The bathroom door was open, so I walked in and turned on the light, but to my surprise there she was with some guy, in the bathtub, doing things you typically wouldn't do in an unlocked room. I apologized and found a different bathroom. About an hour later she came downstairs where the rest of us were, and locked in on my boyfriend and made a beeline for him. Keep in mind I am right next to him. She tries to sit on his lap, and when he pushes her off of him she pops back up like a demented jack-in-the-box and immediately starts screeching about how she was just playing, you aren't even hot, and you could do so much better than her, to him. We stayed another hour or so and left. A week later she was blowing up the guy's phone that she hooked up with, telling him she was pregnant. When he didn't believe her, because honestly who would after just a week, she tried to press charges for rape. I do know my boyfriend and I both had to talk to a police officer because we were both there and I was the one that walked in on them. I don't know what happened after that, but the charges were eventually dropped. 2009, my husband and I are 22 and she is 18. We are now married and living on the East Coast because he's in the military. We come home for his parents' 4th of July party and get tasked with going to get more ice. He runs into pay and I'm standing by the ice chests outside waiting for him, and guess who shows up? She walks straight up to me and says something along the lines of she's glad I finally learned my place and that her and my husband have been so happy together for the last year. She also made some very vulgar comments about their sex life. I don't even have time to react to her when he comes back outside and she goes pale and then bright red. This crazy bitch then has the audacity to look at my husband and ask him what he wants for dinner that night and try to remind him of plans they have that weekend to go to the lake with her family, while he just stands there staring at her like a dumbass and then asks if he knows her. I absolutely lose it and almost piss myself from laughing as she stalks off. Once we are back to his parents he gets a FB friend request from her and deletes it. Over the period of 3 days she sends him 4 or 5 friend requests, so he blocks her. We go back to NC the following week and forget all about her, again. 2010, I am now 7 months pregnant with our daughter and we fly back to our hometown one last time before she's born, of course run into KAS again at Walmart. I know how it sounds, but we're from a town of about 5,000 people, so you kind of see everyone all the damn time whether you want to or not. I'm noticeably pregnant as I'm about 7 long, I'm also only 5 feet 2 inches and at the time weighed about 115 pounds, so it was very clearly a baby bump. She is with her sister and they seem to be following us, but we try to ignore them. We are now checking out and again they are right behind us still acting like children, but in her defense she was 19-ish at the time. We are still ignoring them and her sister says fairly loudly he'll dump her now that she's fat. We continue to ignore them and leave the store. Later that day a friend tells us to check Facebook and lo and behold there is a picture of me in the snack aisle with the caption, "When you catch your surrogate buying nothing but junk food," and so many comments agreeing how horrible I am. This psycho had been telling everyone that I was the surrogate for her and my husband's baby. We filed an RO the next day. 2018, we moved back to our hometown and buy my family's farmland to start our own cattle business. Highly don't recommend if you like to be able to make and keep plans, see your family, or take vacations. As far as we know she has gotten married and is living her life away from us. About 6 months into us being back we get a letter in the mail from a family lawyer saying my husband needs to present himself for a paternity test and we were being sued for child support. Apparently the baby girl came out white and KAS's husband was not. She told her husband that my husband had raped her and that it was his baby. Charges were filed and thankfully we were still in North Carolina at the time of conception and the Army is very meticulous about know where their soldiers are at all times. The rape charges were immediately dismissed, as was the paternity test and child support. We filed another RO and installed cameras all over our property. Her husband ended up adopting the baby and they stayed together. 2020, she makes the front page of our town paper. Apparently KAS had had another baby girl who also did not match her husband's skin tone. He kicked her and the kids out and one night she came back to his house, in full view of his security cameras, in her own car, with the kids and set his porch on fire. The husband got temporary custody of the girls for about 2 years while KAS was in jail. 2023, she gets the girls back and dips out of state. The husband files a police report and everyone is looking for her. Unfortunately, the husband passes in a car accident the same year. 2025, I'm doom scrolling on Reddit and see a story that sounds very familiar, and here we are. Reasons I thought it was her from the other post. Her and the girl's ages. We knew she had a baby boy recently. She has a history of theft and immediately playing the victim when caught. We still have a few mutuals on FB, so I do see her posts from time to time, and knew she moved in with the new guy, OP's brother from the other post, about a year and a half ago. Well, I think that's the meat and potatoes of it. I'll be around later this afternoon to answer any questions. I may have some of the dates off, but hell, my memory is trash these days and I try not to think about her or any of those crazies. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, her fixation on your husband is so scary. Hopefully she continues to leave you alone. I also hope her kids turn out okay, because between the other story and this one it sounds like she has a many personal growth opportunities. Reply, she has tried to reach him via social media a few times, but we don't really do FB or anything like that anymore and just try to live pretty private lives. I really think part of it is jealousy because he's one of the few that never fell for her charms. Like I said, it's a very small town and she really is a pretty girl. Commenter 2, be prepared, she's crazy and she'll come back when she reads the story on Reddit and realizes it's about her and maybe reads this too. Reply, we have enough to get another RO at any time. We also have security cameras all over our property and a few dogs that are the embodiment of wish a MF would. Commenter 3, as batshit crazy as this chick is, I'm super glad to see you and your husband have stuck by each other's side. That part makes me happy for you. Reply, thank you. He's my best friend and has been since 8th grade. The crazier thing is he's not the only one she's latched onto over the years, but I don't feel comfortable telling other people's stories. I'll get a hold of the other guy she's been obsessed with and see if he will allow me to tell his story on here. What was KAS like when growing up? Was she displaying that kind of behavior? Reply, I agree with you 100%. But at what point do you grow up and see what you're going is absolutely insane. I do know her childhood wasn't great, they were pretty low income so they did struggle, but I know her parents and her siblings, and aside from the one sister, they are all really good people. One of her brothers owns a very successful trucking company that we actually have a contract with for our cattle business. Her other sister is a nurse at our local hospital. KAS is the baby of the 5 of them and was kind of allowed to do whatever she wanted, so I think that played into it too. I too responds to a about one deleting comment. Reply, yeah, unfortunately Psycho Sally found that one in this one. The original account has since been deleted unfortunately. Update 1. Hey all, this is probably going to be the last KAS update for a while. It's been a rough 48 hours between some issues we're having on the farm due to 4 days straight of rain and KAS finding the posts about her. I'll try to be brief but give you guys an update as to what's going on. I have been in contact with the OP from the first post and have permission to include a couple updates from her situation as well. KAS has been arrested. Her girls are safe with OP's brother and they are all back at his house. She found the posts and went feral with comments, and even a post which included a picture of my husband she took from my Facebook that I have since had to deactivate. We called our local sheriff department about the harassment and learned she had an active warrant. I was able to get in touch with OP to find out exactly where she was, and they contacted the law enforcement agency in that area and they went and got her. We have pressed charges as well. Right now she's looking at stalking, harassment, child endangerment, resisting arrest and assault on an officer, among the charges she already had pending. I knew what might happen if I responded to OP's post, but I do not regret reaching out to her or exposing her antics. What matters is everyone is safe and she is being held without bond. Update. The girls are safe with my brother and he has all 3 children. He has been awarded temporary guardianship and will be getting them into counseling in the coming week. I tried to press charges, but as the items never left my home, I was unable to. We will have the results of the paternity test next week, as well, but no matter the outcome he will be trying to get full rights to my nephew. Additional information from OOP2, guys. I have had several messages asking for a picture of her. Let me make this very clear, I will not be doing that. I will not be posting her picture on here. I will not be posting her picture in some random group on Facebook. I am trying to protect my family along with the family of the OP of the first post. Hell, at this point I'm also trying to protect her girls. Stop asking for her picture and pictures of the girls. Top comments. Commenter 1, you've done the right thing. You might have saved these girls from a lifetime with that scary woman, so thank you for stepping out of your comfort zone to do what's right. I hope you get peace from her now, but as with most crazy people, that likelihood is slim. As for KAS, she needs help. Obviously she's not going to try to seek it on her own, but maybe now her kids have been taken off her, it might force her to do something. Commenter 2, holy smokes OP. I haven't read anything this engaging in quite a while. I admire your integrity and wisdom. It sounds like your husband has those qualities as well. Too bad KAS was given looks but none of the really valuable stuff. You're also a very articulate writer. Your random doom scrolling just altered the fate of who knows how many people. Sometimes it's difficult to see the benefits of having character and being good people when it seems like most of the world are cashing in or being heard for the opposite. I think smart people like you know this is the only way to live though. Your post makes me feel better about the world and happy you're raising kids of your own. May the sun shine upon you, the wind at your back, and your crops and rivers pristine and bountiful. Commenter 3, what is the most important thing here is that the kids are fine and in a safe place. For a reason you came across Ops post, it was definitely the right thing to do coming with all that information about KAS so everyone can find peace. Hopefully everything moves on to the right direction for everyone involved. Update 2, good morning all. I have a couple updates for you but first we need to discuss some things. I appreciate all the love we are getting from this but some of you need to check yourselves. I will not be posting pictures of her. I will not be linking articles. I will not be posting mugshots. I will not be posting her court records. While yes, all of this is public record and can be found online, it will also expose our names, address, and personal information. If you ask, you will be blocked. If I have to block enough people I will delete this account and then no one will get updates. Sorry to be an ass but this is our lives, our home, and I have to put us and our children's safety first. I have also had a few questions on why we moved back with all of this going on every time we came home. This farm has been in my family for over 120 years and I will not be giving that up over her. Now on to the updates. KAS is still in jail and will be held there until her court date in the coming months. After which she will be transferred back to where she was arrested to face charges there that include child endangerment, resisting arrest, and assault on an officer. We have had a few people ask if we are safe and yes we are. We have security cameras that run 24/7 on all structures, barns, houses, sheds, garages, everything, out here both inside and out. And well yes part of the reason we have them installed was because of her, the main reason is we own a working cattle farm. Farm accidents happen all of the time and our insurance is a lot less if we have them so no, we're not just being paranoid like a few have hinted at. I mentioned in a comment that her brother owns a trucking company that we work closely with so I was able to fill him in on everything going. He is talking to OOP's brother to take in the girls and they have a family court hearing on Friday and will hopefully be living with their uncle soon. He is a really good guy and his wife is amazing. If they were anything like KAS they would not be working for us and I believe they are the girl's best option for a normal upbringing. Now on to the baby boy. Chase is the father. He already has a lawyer and given the circumstances should be able to get full custody and rights to him going forward. I will update again after the hearing on Friday, as we will be going with him to help him get the girls. As far as I know KAS has not reached out to check on them since being arrested. Oh and no, her late husband's accident was not her doing. He was driving home one night after being at the bar and went off the road. He was found the next day and there were no signs of foul play. It was determined the most likely cause was he was intoxicated, an animal ran out in front of him and he swerved to miss it but hit a tree. Stories number 15. My husband is still best friends with the girl he had a 6-year long-term relationship, and admitted I was ugly when they recently hung out 32F38M. I have been married for 4 months now, and we had dated for 2 years prior. This girl has been in his friend group for quite some time now, and it was never an issue till recently. We had hosted a little celebration recently, and at a point all the ladies were gathered in a room, and I was chatting with her. She's unmarried and 3 years older than me, and is stunningly pretty too, like model gorgeous. So we were laughing and talking well, till she brings up my husband. Asking me how it's going and if he was troubling me in any way, in a joking manner. She then pulls her phone out and scrolls down to show me pics of his from before. I was surprised she still had pics of that time. But nearly every single one of them were during the time they dated, and when I got uncomfortable and told her to stop she just laughed it away. My husband was in his 20s then, she called it his prime, and they traveled more than me and him ever did. What shocked me most was that she showed me pics and videos of them having traveled Barcelona twice, and this was shocking because when I told him about visiting that place, he outright refused it and said he hated that place, calling it boring. At a point I was tired of her telling all their stories so I left. It was probably a bit stupid to get angry about something like this, but I decided to leave the room. Later on, somewhere around late night, all his friends were down in the living room, one of their spouses had to breastfeed so I gave her a separate room for privacy. I thought of joining them all, but then I heard one of the guys talking about how my husband's parents accepted me in the family. He and his family are all Koreans, and most of his friends mostly belong to the same community. I am from Indonesia, and it was a lot of trouble when he told his parents about me. Though all of that has been fixed now, it felt weird to listen to that again cause a lot of slurs are still thrown around even though I've been living here for years. My husband told him it's been tough but it's alright now. And then his friend who I was chatting to earlier talks about how she had sent him on many blind dates with pretty women and decided to choose me. They all were drunk, so maybe they didn't know or didn't mean those words, but it still hurt a lot. They all started laughing loudly, telling my husband how I was a bit ugly according to his standards in the past, and one of them even acknowledging his relationship with the girl. My husband then said words I never imagined he would, telling them that I might be ugly but I married her. Someone who used to comfort me when I cried or bring me to shop and gifted me clothes, someone I was now trying to have a kid with. Admitting I'm ugly felt terrible. All the incidents of the day just came down and I walked out before I heard too much. I decided to shower and then go to sleep before they all did, but even this morning, after they all left and my husband slumped back in bed, I still keep thinking about it. It's difficult to convince myself now that they're only friends, they have a longer history than I did with him, and his friends acknowledging it was even worse. This morning, despite his state, he hugged her goodbye and arranged a pack of sweets he told me she likes and to enjoy on the trip back. It's been eating on my insecurity, especially after seeing the pictures. My husband looked much younger, without the fine lines now appearing and the youthful look back then. A part of me is jealous. I never enjoyed that part of him, whereas she's not only more rich than me, but also too pretty, and it hurts after being called ugly by someone who I thought loved me. This has been bugging me for a while and also seems like a very stupid thing to confront about, so can any of you give me advice of what to do? TLDR, recent union of friends resulted in my husband calling me ugly and having to scroll through his old pic with his ex. Edit. She even talked about sending each other bouquets without roses but gifts instead. I used to tell him that I wanted one of those for my birthday with books, but he told me he had better things in mind and never gave me one. I feel bad that he didn't do it when I asked him, but was a routine for someone before me. English isn't my first language, so forgive me if there's anything wrong with the spellings or grammar. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, your issue shouldn't be with this woman, but with your husband. The man you married feels comfortable sitting around with friends and talking badly about you. A good man would have shut down that conversation and never allow guests in his home to degrade his wife in any way. Reply, I had expected him to shut it down or even divert the conversation, but he accepted it, and that's what hurts. Commenter 1, it's really tough to feel like you're not the priority when someone you love is still connected to another person in such a way, but you know what? You deserve to be treated with respect and to feel valued, and it sounds like you have a lot of strength already. What do you think would make you feel more confident in your relationship moving forward? Reply, I currently feel like avoiding them as a whole and going out somewhere either by myself or my own friends. Commenter 3, like I always say. It isn't a good idea to stay friends with exes when you are in a committed relationship. It has nothing to do with insecurities. More times than not it will cause issues one way or the other. Reply, they've been friends for quite long, and all I know is that they broke up on simple terms. Commenter 4, OP, he could have been telling the truth that he hated that trip and that it was boring. Also that he did not want to redo the same type of gift that he did with his ex. I do not feel that there is anything for you to worry about with their relationship. When he said something to the effect of, she may be ugly but I married her, could you have misunderstood? I mean, did he say maybe she does not look like girls I dated in the past but she is the one I chose to marry? OP, you have to talk to him, you cannot go on feeling this way, if he does not make you feel pretty and beautiful to him, not because of the horrible weekend you just survived with his shitty friends, but in general, then you should leave him. Reply, why does he still relate everything to what they used to do? If he's over her he should be normal with getting me stuff like this. Even refusing a trip with me, looking back, is suspicious. Update. My husband is still best friends with the girl he had a 6-year long-term relationship, and admitted I was ugly when they recently hung out. 32F38M. Our relationship _advice. So I shared about this incident to my friends, and they have urged me to make plans with them to Barcelona itself. I agreed and we went to do a bit of shopping for it. I have been feeling way better now after talking to them and all the support you guys gave too, so I'm really grateful. My husband had been texting me continuously for a while now. I am staying at my friend's house for a while. I texted him saying that I wasn't happy with the company he kept and told him about what his friend did, showing me their pictures. I also told him that he admitted I was ugly to his friends. He's answered by saying that he was mostly drunk and didn't mean it, and that he and his friends' culture is where it's normal to comment on people's appearances and not take it to heart, and said all the cheesy stuff after that about how he still thinks I'm really beautiful, but I can't accept that anymore. He told he'll talk to his friends about it and ask them to apologize. I also told him that I can leave if he still has feelings for his friend, and he said that it was all a past fling and there's a reason they broke up. He told I'm the one he wants to have kids with, but I feel like he wants me to be a baby-producing machine for his family. I am still looking for a lawyer and my brother has offered me help too. He got really angry after hearing about the situation. I have a place of my own where I might shift to after I come back from the trip. My husband is back to constantly calling, though I texted him to stop and he hasn't done anything yet. I'm still a bit confused, but I think this trip is going to help me clear my mind. I haven't told him anything yet, and I am thinking of blocking him in my socials, though my friends suggest he see that I am living my best even without him. TLDR, we only talked over text, and I've planned a trip with my friends already. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I remember you saying they are Korean and it's true about the toxicity in that culture the way they talk about looks, but that doesn't mean you have to put up with it. Good for you. Reply, I don't. He's been constantly apologizing through texts and stuff and he just sent me pics of something he made with a sorry caption. I feel a bit bad for leaving it just like that. Commenter 2, I strongly believe that culture is a big fat excuse when it comes to how you treat people. Yes. East Asians are obsessed with looks but so are Americans and every other person in the world. It isn't culture. It is the character of the individual. Each person can make the choice to go against the grain and be a better, kinder person or not. Especially under your own roof where you make your own rules. There are Koreans who aren't assholes. All he has to do is take your feelings seriously, but he made excuses instead. What he said isn't the only issue either. He doesn't even do things you want him to, no gifts, no fun memories. He doesn't appreciate you. He clearly is capable of being thoughtful and kind, just not to you. Actions speak louder than words. To be frank, he ain't shit. Have fun in Barcelona. Reply, thing is he never denied me everything. Instead of Barcelona, we went to Sydney, where I had fun too, and was second option. He's never given me the bouquet I especially asked him for, but he gets me flowers and gifts. Commenter, do you want to be his second option for the rest of your marriage? You have a lot to think about here. He will start giving you everything you wanted and want now to make up for what you heard and saw, but remember these are short-term apology gifts and affection. Once you forgive him things will go back to normal. I doubt he will give up his ex and friends for you because the moment they spoke badly about you he should have kicked them out and cut them off if he actually cared, loved, valued and respected you. Reply, it had been a few years since they broke up, but I didn't expect him to still follow her. What you said really made sense. Commenter 3, I'm very glad you are taking a step back from this toxic situation. If a husband truly loves and respects his wife, he wouldn't degrade her appearance behind her back and he certainly wouldn't use some toxic aspect of his culture as an excuse. I urge you to take your husband's many apologies with a grain of salt right now. The longer you remain separated from him the more you'll see just how truthful he's being. I suspect your husband is a shallow and petty person at his core. He's probably not the right partner for you. Commenter 4, this is true. I wonder why he even married Op. Is it because he settled because Op is a wonderful person, but not really attracted to her? Is it because he is getting older and needed to be married ASAP? I remember a Korean guy who was 33 and I saw all the red flags so I had to avoid him. His true colors showed when he didn't get what he wanted and was verbally abusive. So I blocked him for good. He was also in a hurry to have a GF to be married. I'm so glad, Op is brave and has good support. Reply, I've noticed this a pattern in many East Asian men. Having stayed in Korea for years for my job, I've dated a few previously and they have the pattern of coming out as abusive a few months into the relationship. Does OOP's husband treat her well? Reply, he treated me well, brought me gifts and flowers, and overall it was all fine. He did have his own group character or personality when he was with his friends during their hangouts, and his focus wasn't usually on me during that time, but it wasn't that serious till today. It's also weird that his ex showed me those photos despite meeting each other before. Stories number 16. Aita for expecting cousin to reimburse for flight and hotel when she uninvited me from wedding due to the bad behavior of relatives. My cousin is getting married end of the year, we've been good friends most of our lives. She is NC with her parents. She did not want to invite them to her wedding but caved due to family pressure. At first she agreed to just let them come to the ceremony with the agreement that they'd sit in the back and not talk to her but no reception. Then family started pressuring her in increments, then they said to let her dad walk her down the aisle, she said fine but no reception, then they pressured her to let them come, and just kept piling on the demands. I was on her side completely and didn't agree with any of this, I had nothing to do with any of the pressure and even told her she should tell our busybody relatives to pound sand but she has difficulty with confrontation. She just wants to keep the peace. But since they just kept pushing and pushing until her parents became full-fledged guests with full-fledged parent of the bride rights, she finally snapped, and uninvited everyone in the family. I can understand uninviting those who were pressuring her and not respecting boundaries, but I wasn't guilty of any of this, and I didn't do anything wrong, and I think it was completely unfair to lump me in with the rest of them and hurt. She said she uninvited everyone because it was too much, and inviting me while uninviting everyone else would cause too much drama. But how is this my damn fault? I asked if she could at least reimburse me for the flight and hotel. I did advance pay with Hilton, so it's non-refundable, and flight is non-refundable. I'm not wealthy, I had to save up for this, and she said no, she can't afford it. But I don't think it's fair that not only am I cut out from the wedding when I did nothing wrong, but also have to swallow this cost when I did nothing wrong. She said I should demand our busybody relatives pay for it, but of course they're not going to. Stories number 17. My 35F boyfriend, 32M, is mad about what I said about his sisters, 29F, miscarriage and weight, and I don't know how to fix the situation. One of my boyfriend's sisters, Cindy, had a miscarriage back in December. Her doctor told her that it was because of her weight, and if she ever wanted to have a baby she needed to lose at least 100 IBS. After that she went on all sorts of diets trying to shed the weight. Keto, cabbage soup, 1,000 calories a day, you name it, she tried it. And she did lose weight. A lot of it. Really fast. She was losing almost 20 IBS a month, and she looked awful. And during all of this, she continued to actively try to have a baby. She got 2 positive pregnancy tests, both confirmed by a doctor, but neither made it past 8 weeks. Each time she miscarried she was further devastated and couldn't understand why she lost the baby when she was doing what her doctor said and losing weight. She was very vocal about all of this. Both with family, and at our shared workplace. Crying in the break room, taking extra days off to see her faith healer, constantly asking people to pray for her and her lost baby's souls. It's really, really sad. She called out for her 3rd miscarriage this weekend and blew up the group chat, telling my BF and I that we absolutely had to go to the church with her and her husband on Saturday night and to cancel the date we'd had planned for months. My boyfriend is a good man, but he's also getting tired of having to drop everything for his sister's grief. When we were getting ready for church he told me he didn't understand why Cindy was still having so much trouble when she's losing so much weight. In a former life, i.e., pre-COVID, I was studying to be a dietitian. Due to financial constraints I didn't finish, but I still have a solid knowledge on the subject. So I told my boyfriend that I thought that the rapid weight loss is probably hurting things more than helping. Cindy has essentially told her body that they're starving to death, use up all the fat reserves so they can survive, etc. And if her body thinks they don't have enough food for them to live, then it's definitely not going to waste energy on forming a baby. Pregnancy is intensely taxing on the body. A body in a state of constant, months-long caloric deficit isn't going to let her stay pregnant. She needs to reach her goal weight and stay there for a while before trying to get pregnant again. I also think she needs to talk to an actual fertility specialist, or at least an OBGYN, instead of her family doctor who, from what Cindy said, he didn't actually run any tests, just saw a fat woman who'd had a miscarriage and told her to lose 2.5 of her body weight so she didn't kill her future babies. Also a therapist, because her faith healer is trying to get her to wear a crystal belt to unlock her fertility chakra. She's a snake oil saleswoman who's slapping together new age crystal bullshit with Pentecostalism willy-nilly to scam vulnerable people out of their money. My boyfriend apparently told Cindy what I said, trying to help, and now she's flown off the handle and sent me 20 texts telling me I don't know what I'm talking about and I'm a bitch who's never supported her. Which, maybe I don't. Woman shrugging, I haven't examined her, I'm not privy to her entire medical history, and I'm not any kind of fertility expert. I know that rapid weight loss hurts your body though. And I only know what she said. Which is quite a lot, if we're being honest. She hasn't talked about anything that isn't dead babies or weight loss related in 6 months. So now I'm being asked to switch shifts at work, or at least work areas, until the whole thing blows over. And I'm not allowed near any family functions. My boyfriend is solidly on his sister's side that I was talking out of turn for speculating like that. He doesn't want to be with me until I can figure out how to fix the damage I did to my relationship with his sister. I really don't know how I'm supposed to make amends with her, or where to even start. Stories number 18. I think my older sister thinks her boyfriend is cheating on her with me. I don't know if I should be asking for advice because I honestly don't know what to do. For more context, my older sister is 22 and her boyfriend and I are the same age, 19. I'll call my sister Kate and her boyfriend Adam, which is not their real names. So Adam and I were initially acquaintances. We were both in the same year in class in high school and are now in the same university studying the same thing. We were never close enough to be friends, but after he started dating Kate, we did become friends, and okay friends since we have a lot in common. I must mention I have no interest or any feelings for Adam. But when Adam and I kinda became friends, my sister didn't like it, which is understandable, so I kept my distance like she wanted, but Adam and I had to still end up speaking because we have a few classes together, but we only really talk about school or when it has to do with a class or anything Kate related. So Adam had been invited by Kate over for dinner and he asked me if I wanted a ride home in his car since we were still going to the same place after all. I didn't think much of it, so I agreed, and we had just come from evening classes and it was dark out and I was too exhausted. Most of the time during the ride, I was actually asleep, so we didn't even talk at all. But when we went into the house, I was heading up to my room when Kate grabbed me and pulled me back and asked why Adam and I came back together. Adam immediately tried to tell her why, but she started shouting at him and telling him to stop talking for me and to stop defending me too. Her shouting caused my parents to rush to us. She then started screaming at me, telling me to stop being jealous and to find my own man to drive me home. She then said she's noticed everything and she hates how I think every man wants me, and she called me desperate too. She was also tightly grabbing me, digging her nails in my wrist, which hurt, so I yanked my arm off and she shoved me. Adam tried to hold her back, but she began to scream and cry for him to stop defending me and that he was her boyfriend and not mine. My parents tried to calm her down, but she was shaking and breathing like heavily and fast. She was also looking at me and I felt and still feel so shaken up by the scene. My mom started yelling at me to leave the room until she was better and said that I was triggering her more by being there. I felt confused and accused. So I tried to tell them that I had no idea what I did wrong and tried to explain, but my sister started to make these sounds while shaking and like panting and glaring at me, which honestly scared me. My mom yelled at me to leave again and I did. I heard them ask Adam to leave too and he also did, and later texted me and asked me if my sister was okay, but I honestly have been too scared to leave my room. I feel a bit scared that my sister might do something to me. And I've honestly cried a lot and I feel a bit shaken up because of seeing my sister like that. I don't know if it's a panic attack or a breakdown. But she looked more angry than anything. I feel a bit responsible for her having such a reaction since she told me before to stay away from Adam, so I wish I never took the ride home with him. I don't know who to talk to about this and I'm still in my room. I know I've said this a lot already, but I'm genuinely scared to leave my room because of everything. And I feel like my parents both think it's my fault for my sister acting that way. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, her insecurities are not your problem. If you're scared, see if there's anybody who will house you. I actually think you should do that now because those types of girls will try to hurt you. You need to have a conversation with your parents and don't let them gaslight or manipulate you into thinking you did anything wrong because you didn't. Reply, thank you so much. Right now I don't really want to talk to my family. Since I feel like if I go to them and my sister sees me she might act that way again, which I don't want. Regarding my living situation, I don't know if I feel comfortable living with anyone next to me since I'll feel a bit like a burden. Does OOP live away at the university or with her parents? Can OOP live with other family members or friends? Reply, I sadly live with my parents. I do have family and friends nearby, but sadly I feel like I'd be burdening them by living with them, so I don't know. Commenter 2, OP, is your sister normally like this, or is this strange way out of character? This honestly sounds like she might be having some sort of mental health episode, especially given mom telling both you and Adam to leave Kate's site because she was being triggered. You are 100% not in the wrong for anything, but you might want to steer clear of your sister. Stop trying to explain or defend yourself, just keep your distance for your own safety. If she's mentally unwell, there's really no reasoning with her. Paranoid delusions seem really compelling to someone having them. Reply, she's always been a little bit possessive and Adam is her first and serious relationship, so I kind of feel like she's new to feeling like this. It's not too strange since she does have anger management issues sometimes, but it was my first time seeing her have such a reaction. Thank you for your advice too. Any chances that OOP's sister could be jealous of her? Reply, to answer your questions, I don't know if she's ever been jealous of me before. I never even took this situation as jealousy, but everyone in my comments is saying otherwise. My sister and I are just okay. Like we're not the closest. We used to be, but over time obviously we drifted, plus she's older so she's been gone for school a lot. We've never liked the same guy. At least that's what I know. And Adam is her first serious boyfriend, the other guys she talked to never really made it past talking stages. I feel like she probably thinks that way because Adam and I are the same age and have the same interests and other similarities. I am considering now staying with my friend because the situation for me is only getting worse at the moment. Update 1. Sorry for the delay in posting an update. I had taken a break off of my phone and social media due to harassment I'll later mention in this post. I'd like to thank everyone that gave me advice and encouragement. I didn't really expect it, so I'm very grateful. I would first like to begin by saying that everyone was right. I should have left my house for some time after Kate had such a reaction towards me. So after Kate's meltdown a week ago, Adam actually started keeping his distance from Kate and our family. I did too. I'd only leave my room to go to school or to get dinner, which I had in my room. My mom also advised me to do that because she was worried about how Kate would be to me. Especially since Adam wasn't talking to her much at the moment. But he would still text me occasionally if he had something to tell me about in terms of school, but he wouldn't even ask about Kate. So about 3 or so days after that happened, I was at school and got a text from Kate, and she basically told me that she hated me and that if I come home that day she'd actually kill me. I was so confused. I didn't know what I had done since I hadn't spoken to her for some time. I forwarded the message to my parents, and I was also upset since she was threatening me out of nowhere, plus she was insulting me a lot too. Kate called me, and when I answered she was crying and screaming at me saying it's my fault. And that I never want to see her happy. And I took away someone so important to her just because I don't have a man for myself. I tried to tell her first that I didn't know what happened, but she kept saying, "Liar. It's your fault. Liar. It's your fault." Then when I hung up and went to ask Adam about it, he told me he had ended things because Kate had started not only calling his phone a lot but also his parents. She was also texting his friends on Instagram asking them to talk to him so that he could talk to her again. Adam also said that she started threatening him too. But with her life. Like saying if he actually leaves her she's going to kill herself and it will be his fault. I didn't believe him at first actually, since I had never seen or heard my sister being like that. So he showed me the texts as proof and told me that he couldn't handle being in such a relationship since he was now afraid of her. Then he said he was also scared of me or interacting with me just in case Kate would hurt me again for it. I called my mom and tried to explain everything to her after I was done with all my classes, and I even had Adam there to speak to them just in case she wouldn't believe me or wouldn't believe what Adam had told me, but my mom just started yelling at me. She told me that what I was doing was wrong. Like communicating with someone who caused my sister so much pain. And even trying to get her to speak to him. She then refused to speak to him or even hear the reason he broke up with her, because all he did was hurt Kate to her, and said that me continuing to speak to him meant I didn't care about my sister. I then told her how Kate was threatening me, and she told me that it was just out of anger and that I should stay away from Adam if I don't want to make Kate angrier. I kept trying to get her to understand how I felt, but she kept dismissing me so much and yelling at me too that I cried and had to end the call. I stayed in school with Adam for some time and we spoke about what I should do, and mostly because I was just scared of going home and wanted to talk to someone who understood me. Not to trigger Kate. Kate was spamming me with texts asking if I was with Adam and what was taking me so long to go home. She was also calling me a lot, and when I didn't answer her calls, she called me through my mom's phone, and when I answered and heard it was her, I hung up after she said she knew I was with Adam. I honestly felt so exhausted by all of this and had to even face the fear of asking a friend who slept in the dorms if I can stay with her. I told her everything too, and we're close, so I have been here for a few days. I told my parents that I was with a friend to prep for some exams, and both of them, especially my father, insist I go home. Especially since I'm the youngest. They don't trust me to stay out of home since first I have nothing on me, but I'm actually just scared to go home that I don't care. My parents think I'm overreacting about Kate's threats and even made me speak to her on the phone, and she told me she didn't mean it, but I don't believe her. They're saying I'm trying to ruin Kate's name by involving others into family matters. Like what? I had to turn my phone off for some time because of Kate constantly calling and texting threats and insults to me. And when I'd tell my parents, they literally made excuses. Oh. And on Saturday all 3 of them came to my school to try and find me. I was lucky not to bump into them, but Adam and one of my other friends unfortunately were spotted by Kate, but Adam didn't want to talk to them, so he avoided them and warned me about it, and my friend who did talk to them told me my sister asked her if I was staying with Adam, and my parents told her to tell me to come home and to take their calls. So yeah. I apologize if this post feels all over the place. I tried to explain everything for everyone who wanted an update. I'm still so stressed about everything, and keeping my distance isn't helping like I thought it would. I'm constantly worried that my sister or my parents will find me and that I will have to speak to them on this, which I don't want to, but I know I'll have to go home soon since my parents are insisting on it. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, holy shit, why is she looking for you? So she can keep threatening you and blaming you for her psychosis? I'm glad you have friends to stay with. Are there any resources at your campus that can help you with mental health or counseling? Stay safe. Reply, thank you so much. I haven't considered counseling yet since I still feel a little guilty that more people know about what happened with Kate and my parents wouldn't really be happy about it. Commenter 2, I wouldn't go home either or feel safe there. Your sister has some serious mental health issues going on, and your parents are just enabling her poor behavior. You can and should report this to the police with the proof of the threats and everything. Reply, I feel like it would be a bit unfair to report this since she hasn't exactly tried anything yet. And I'm afraid of my parents' reaction to me even thinking about pressing charges. Commenter 3, so when are you gonna report it? When she snaps and assaults you? Start a paper trail now. Reply, I'm seriously considering it now. Commenter 4, stay away from both. Your sister needs serious help. Your parents don't seem to be doing much. I know you're very young, and it's probably hard for you to move out, but it almost seems like your parents would choose your sister to stay home over you. Reply, the issue with moving out is that I'm financially dependent on my parents and I've gotten used to life in school without worrying about having a job since the course I'm doing is quite heavy. But I'm now considering it. Thank you so much. Commenter 5, campuses usually have some sort of help for situations like this when a student is unable to go home fearing their home life. I highly suggest looking at your campus resources and talking to someone there like an advisor. Your sister threatened to kill you and your parents are stupidly on her side. I would even suggest taking this to the police after you use campus resources because hopefully that gives them a wake-up call that your sister is mentally ill and that they are terrible parents. Prioritize your safety, don't go home, you don't want to be another homicide news story. Reply, oh, I never knew this. I will definitely look into speaking to someone in the school about this, and I've also decided to take everyone's advice to probably go to the police. Thank you so much for your advice. Update 2. I am once again overwhelmed by the support and advice and encouragement I have received. Thank you so much. I once again took everyone's advice. The hardest part about this was having to move out of the house I grew up in. It was really hard to go back. I actually felt worried, but I decided to go back home today when both of my parents were at home, and I also went with a friend just in case. Plus I had time since my classes were all in the evening. My family have this obsession with keeping the family image good, and I kind of surprised them by coming back so suddenly and with a guest I think. I first of all sat down with them and my friend went upstairs to my room to begin the packing and obviously to give us space. My parents then started talking in silent tones, basically telling me to stop being dramatic and stop dragging this issue out and that it has already happened and I should just forget it and come back home. I first asked if I can stay in the campus accommodation or the apartments close to school since I am actually doing my finals exams from Thursday and I wanted to stay in school where I can focus on just school. I thought this approach would work since my parents are pretty strict about school, but my parents refused immediately. My father said that I wasn't allowed to until I was older, and my mother said she knows it's because of Kate. I then told them I've already decided that that's what I want and I'll do it anyway, and my father threatened to stop paying my fees. He also told me to think about what our other family members would think and that I'd have a lot of time in our house with my sister during the summer break to make up. But I dreaded actually living so much time in the same place as Kate. Plus I asked the school already about summer housing and it is allowed in my school, but you have to pay a different price, which I expected my parents not to agree to pay. My friend came downstairs while we were talking and called me to the side, and then she told me that she was looking for a suitcase, and then Kate burst inside and was like lunging to her, but then stopped when she realized it wasn't me. She said she was scared and wanted to leave, and I felt scared too. I took my friend to my parents and told her to repeat what she just told me, and my mom just sighed. She told me to go if I want and see how I'll survive without them. I looked at my dad, but he didn't say anything. I asked if I was allowed to leave and my dad said I can go, but as long as I wasn't under his protection, I shouldn't expect anything from them. My friend said to me that it was okay and she'll help me pack. So I asked my parents to tell Kate to come downstairs, and mom said she can do whatever she wants since she lived there. So me and my friend just went upstairs and my room was wide open, and my friend and I actually hesitated to go in, but she wasn't there. I packed most of my clothes. Not everything. Then we left immediately after. I decided to speak to the school with my friend more on-campus housing and explained my entire situation, and I was actually allowed to have it if I took summer classes or if I took internship, but since I'm a freshman it would be harder to do internship, so I am choosing to do summer classes. Sorry for the TMI. I was then asked to speak to the campus safety officers concerning my sister and the threats she made against me. But I'll go with Adam tomorrow. Since we both have evidence and I had a lot of work having to bring my stuff to the dorms as well as having an evening class to prepare for. I called my father afterwards and told him about it, the housing and fees, and then I asked again if he was really not going to pay my fees or support my other expenses. He said that he'd pay for school fees and the housing, but I'd have to figure everything else out. Like food and stuff, which I think is manageable. Now regarding pressing charges, I don't want to risk being cut off financially by my parents since I am not ready to pay for my own fees yet. Plus after I blocked my sister, she stopped bothering me. But after my friend told me that she lunged at her when she came back home, I'm worried she'll do that again to me. And a lot of comments in my posts have given me scenarios which made her scarier to me, but Adam wants to file a restraining order against her. For some reason he doesn't have her blocked, just muted, but he views all her texts and even forwards some to me or sends screen recordings of voice notes she's sent to him. And yes, we are actively communicating because we are going through the same issue. I hope to just receive protection from Kate. Like even if it means spending my entire summer in school, I'll do it. I'm not sure what's going to happen tomorrow, but even now, the school has said they're not letting people to the dorms area, so I'll be safe until then. To the people hating on me for not pressing charges earlier, I hope you understand I fully depend on my parents for everything. I was worried that if I did, I'd be cut off. But after my finals, I want to try and get a job so I can earn some money during the summer and hopefully I'll get used to such independence. This is my final update. Thank you for all the support. I'm okay. So is Adam. And we'll continue working on making sure we'll both be safe. As I mentioned, I will be starting my finals on Thursday and I'll be very stressed and busy, so I might not be able to post another update or interact much with Kate. And sorry again if this post is all over the place. Maybe I'll try editing this post tomorrow and let you know what happened. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, she lunged at your friend. Kate needs some serious help and your parents are willfully ignoring this. She's going to hurt someone one day badly and they won't be able to cover this up. How was the family dynamic before with Kate? Was she always like this with you? Also, you need to expose your sister to everyone. Gather all your text messages, voicemails, everything you have and place it in a group chat or Google Doc file and send it to all of your relatives and post it publicly. Shame is the only thing that will make your parents listen, since image is everything. If you're worried, then maybe her ex could do it on your behalf. If it's public on Facebook, your relatives would see it because of the tags. Reply, she got weird after I became friends with Adam, but before we weren't the closest either. And I will ask him to do this. Thank you. Commenter 2, OP, what other family members do you have? Are they aware of the situation? Can any of them support you somehow? Reply, my grandparents from my mother's side and my aunt and uncles from my father's side live close and I can try talking to them, but after my exams or on days where I don't have them. My other family members who I think would be so much more help don't live in the same state as us. Commenter 3, if your parents try to force you to forgive Kate and allow you to be her target punching bag, threaten to expose the three of them to your extended family. Reply, yes, this is what I will do. Anytime I'll be forced to interact with Kate, I will expose them and report her. Stories number 19. My boyfriend, 24M, wants me, 23F, to do all of the housework even though we both work full-time and I am in school, but he is not. My boyfriend is pretty traditional, but not in a sexist kinda way. He was raised by a single mom with the help of the women in his family. Sexism is not the issue here. We have a beautiful relationship, but when we argue, this is normally what it is about. He does help me with the house sometimes, but if I ever ask him to do more or I fall behind on some stuff, we revert back to this same argument. When we got together almost 5 years ago, 19F and 20M, he told me that if I ever wanted to quit my job, he would take care of money and I would take care of the house. Fair. I hate working, so this would be a dream for me. For a while, I worked part-time jobs and took care of most of the housework. I wound up getting promoted and have worked full-time for about 2 years now. We also have more expenses now, so me quitting my job isn't an option. He has a management position with a railroad company, while I am the sole store manager of a department store. I am also currently in school, almost done with my bachelor's. When we started the arrangement, it made sense because he both worked more and made more money. Now, he still works more, but rather than 25 to 30 hours, me, and 40 to 60 hours, him, the comparison is 40 to 45 hours, me, and still 40 to 60 hours, him. He also still makes more. We have about a $20,000 to $30,000 per year gap. I am also in college part-time, so I take 2 classes per semester and 1 to 2 in the summer when I can. When it comes to finances, he pays all of our bills, totaling somewhere around $1.5-2K per month, while I pay for our animals, $200 to $400 per month. We have a lot, and a storage unit that we share, $110. I also buy most of our food, $300 per month, and put what I can to the side so that we have a nice cushion if we need it. We go round and round because he thinks that since he pays all the bills, has a more physically taxing job, and works 12-hour shifts, I work 8-hour shifts, this means that I should take care of all of the housework. I don't believe this is fair. Yes, he pays all of the utilities and rent, but my contribution of the storage unit, food, and animal care still counts as paying bills, contributing. When it comes to school, he dismisses this in arguments. BC, I take online classes and I see the amount of time you spend on school, it isn't much. When I argue that we both work full-time, that doesn't matter either because my job is easy, and he works more than I do, makes more money, has longer shifts, and his job is more demanding. These things are true of his position, but my job is not easy. It is also very demanding, as I have employees who answer to me. They call me at all hours of the day-night. I run a department store by myself with no other management. Although I don't think his comparison is fair, I do believe that I should pull more weight than him around the house, especially because of the nature of his job, though I don't think I should have to do it all. He also says that I don't contribute financially, but I do, just not when it comes to the actual utilities bills. TLDR, but also just a continuation of the post. I'm not sure how to explain to him that what he wants isn't fair. We both work full-time and I also go to school. Why should I do all of the housework just because you are the breadwinner and pay most of the bills? It just doesn't make sense to me, am I wrong? Edited for clarity and structure and to add that I will reply as I get the chance to. I'm currently spending some time with him. Edit 2, I also would like to add that I do not keep up with housework at all. Things just become a wreck, we eat a lot of fast food, etc., so it actually isn't even currently happening as he wants it to. I just want him to understand my side. I think we could do better with keeping things clean if he would help more. Comments. Commenter 1. It's time to rehome him. He is not a keeper. NTA unless you keep him. Commenter 2. I love how she said he's not sexist so many times. The lady doth protest too much. Update. Much longer than anticipated and I'm sorry. I wound up having an open and honest conversation with my boyfriend a few weeks after this post about all of this as well as some other struggles I've been having in our relationship. I came at it from the angle of how I feel emotionally, that I am lacking a partnership and I feel that he doesn't care. It was received extremely well. He doesn't talk emotions often. He took a day or two to think and then he came back to me to basically explain that work has been making him really stressed and it threw him into a deep depression. It was easier for him to deflect and argue and put housework on me than address what was wrong with him. He hadn't realized how deep he was in it, how awful the shit he was saying was, nor how much it affected me until I told him how severe this stuff was weighing on me. He hadn't really been shown love before I came into his life and he was pushing me away when he should have been letting me in and leaning on me emotionally. Since that convo, our relationship has done a 180. I feel like I got my partner back. He understands that we need to work together. It cannot all fall on me and he doesn't want it to. Our relationship is much stronger than it has been in months. It's been a few months now since this change and day by day I see him putting more effort into us and our lives. Work still takes a lot out of him, but he is a whole different partner now. Just wanted to give the positive update that many didn't anticipate. Mainly to prove that Reddit doesn't always have all the answers. I'm very happy to see things work out with us. I told y'all that I had to see it through and it was well worth it. A little open communication and emotional vulnerability support can go a long way. Can't wait to see what the future holds. Thank you to anyone who invested any time input into this situation. Comments. Commenter 1. I hope this is true and he isn't love bombing you so you'll stay. I hope he really has changed. Be prepared for it to not last, but I truly do hope it does. Reply. We've been together for 5 years. There was a time before this which is why I stuck it through. I know who he is and what he is capable of. I feel like I have him back like he used to be, not that he is love bombing. Even if so, I've been love bombed before and they normally can't keep it up for more than a month. We will see though. Commenter 2. This is such a refreshing update, proof that real growth can happen when both people are willing to listen, reflect, and communicate. I'm so glad you got your partner back. Wishing you both continued strength and teamwork moving forward. Reply. Thank you so much. This means a lot to me. That's why I shared it. I wanted to show a positive outcome compared to the pessimistic outlook that many Redditors have, especially when it comes to relationships. The comments on my OG post got insane. People even suggested that he would start tampering with my birth control. Thankfully I knew in my heart that I know my BF better than anyone else. I wasn't ready to walk away over a rough patch, only if he didn't change his ways in the near future. And he for sure has done a 180. Not just with me, but with his entire life and mental health. OFC he isn't 100%, but the change I've seen is huge. Stories number 20. Wibta if I cut off my entire childhood friend group after they secretly planned a hen do and didn't invite me, I'm genuinely struggling with how to process this, and I'm torn between staying graceful, or walking away for good. I've been part of a friendship group since I was 13, I'm nearly 33 now. There are 7 of us in total. While some are closer to each other than others, we've kept a group chat going for years. I've always seen them as my oldest and most meaningful friends, the kind you assume will be in your life forever. This weekend, I opened Instagram and saw that 5 of the girls had gone on a long weekend hen do for one of the group's weddings. I had absolutely no idea it was happening. No invite. No heads up. No mention at all. The only other one not there has 2 kids, so I assumed she couldn't go but I was simply excluded. The whole thing was planned behind my back. To be clear, I know I haven't been the most active in the group chat recently. I've been doing a PhD and I even gave them a heads up a few years ago that I'd be less present for a while. But I still showed up when it mattered. I traveled across the country for everyone's 30th birthdays, and I've always backed them, even from a distance. What's hurt the most isn't just missing the hen, it's the silence. Not one person said, "Hey, just so you know," or gave me a chance to understand. They just carried on like everything was normal. After finding out, I spoke to two of the girls, my closest friends. They were shocked I wasn't included and admitted they were confused by the bride's, Rachel's, decision. They told me there hadn't been any falling out or issue from me, and they were really upset to see how hurt I was. When I said I was thinking of leaving the group chat and cutting ties completely, unfollowing everyone, stepping back, they got really emotional and said they didn't want me to go, and that felt extreme. But honestly, I don't know if I can stay. I feel humiliated. Like a spare part in a friendship I thought I was still part of. The trust feels broken. Part of me wants to just walk away quietly, not to punish anyone, but to protect myself and give myself the dignity of closure. The other part of me is scared I'll look like the dramatic one or regret walking away from 20 years of history. So, Wibta, if I cut them all off after this, or should I just distance myself from the bride, since it sounds like she made the final decision? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. It sounds like you've been not around for a few years at this point. Your example of showing up was when everyone turned 30 and you are now almost 33. You also told them you wouldn't be available for years. I don't see this as you being excluded so much as either the bride following what she thought you set up as the parameters, you weren't going to be around available, or the bride matching your energy. You don't put anything in, don't expect others to. I've had very busy professional and personal times with school, work, kids, but I never told people, "Hey, count me out," for years. That you did seems to be your choice, which is yours to make. But it seems like talking out of both sides of your mouth to make that choice and then act shocked and betrayed when the others respected your boundary. I'm guessing it's a big misunderstanding that can be resolved by a phone call, not one to make the bride feel guilty or cause drama, but just to say, "I saw you all went away and I hope you all had a blast. I'm coming out of the weeds with school now and would love to join you all again going forward." Reply. Yes, this does sound like I said goodbye for a few years. So instead of seeing them every few months, it was more like twice a year. We are all based in different cities. I do take some responsibility for this, but I will say I think being excluded from this event is a step too far for me. But definitely doing some thinking to work on this. Thank you for the advice. I am still thinking the bride knew that this would cause a huge problem, and I need to understand if this was with bad intent, cowardness, or some other reason. She was aware this would cause a problem. Maybe a group message is a good shout. Thank you. Commenter 2. It's not only the non-invite but the fact no one told you. You had to find out via social media. Are you invited to the wedding? Either way, I'd take a step back from everyone. Even the two closest friends. Why didn't they tell you? Why keep it a secret? Reply. This is exactly the main struggle. They have openly said they knew I would be upset, and I think that's a big part why they couldn't tell me beforehand. I believe I am invited to the wedding, but she's not sent the invites out yet. I have told the two of them I need a bit of time away and that I'm still in my gut reaction phase. They have apologized, a lot, and one started crying when she thought I was cutting her off. So after this I really don't want to do this with these two, but we definitely have things to work on. Commenter 3. What is this, the DOD? Didn't the innocent friends read the email text numbers? Did anyone ask, "Hey, why isn't Susie coming?" You are justified in feeling terribly hurt. You would not be considered an asshole if you didn't want to continue the group relationship. Reply. They did say that to each other but never as a whole group. They felt bad about it but felt they couldn't do much about it. Commenter 4. Bullshit. After 20 years of friendship they couldn't do anything. Not even so much as ask their other 20-year-long friend bride host why. These are the weak excuses of backboneless people, and I'm so sorry they treated you like this. I wouldn't feel like I want to be friends with people that treat me this way. OOP adds more info here. I have reminded them over the past couple of years but absolutely agree I should have been more communicative. I didn't go into the nitty-gritty in this post as I wanted to be brief. 2. For more context, after speaking to my two friends, they were chatting about the fact I wasn't invited for months before the event. It was very conscious and discussed a lot, but usually only between 2 or 3 people at a time, apparently. I asked them both the question, what do you think my reaction would be when I found this out, and they both said, absolutely devastated. More than anything it's the fact they didn't tell me or talk to the bride about the repercussions of this, on what I thought was a tight-knit group. Oh, and absolutely feeling a little low as I'm in my final year, so taking that into account, but I also thought they may have taken it into account as well. Waiting a week to decide what to do here, but appreciate the direct comments. Thinking it may just be the bride I need to have a proper chat with and possibly ending a friendship. Update. Sorry for the slow reply, I've been away at a conference and needed a bit of space to think. I didn't expect the post to get so much attention, but I really appreciated the honest responses. It made me feel more justified in how hurt I felt. Since posting, I've spoken to a few people who know the group and situation well. Every single one of them was surprised and most were very clear, should cut off the bride, and possibly the others too. Just to add some more context, I was a lot quieter about a year ago. I was doing my PhD and also going through a tough time in my personal life, dealing with some serious issues involving suicide and addiction. They all knew about this and had offered words of support. Over the last 6 months or so, I'd started chatting to them a bit more again. Things felt pretty normal. I had a phone call with the bride where she asked for wedding advice and we also had a proper catch-up. I saw 3 of the others from the group in person not long after. What makes this all harder to process is knowing that during those moments, when we were catching up and everything seemed fine, they already knew about the hen weekend and didn't say a word. Since posting, I've quietly removed myself from the group chat and taken the bride off socials. She did message me saying she heard I was upset and was happy to chat, but to be honest, it felt more like damage control. If she wanted to talk honestly, there were plenty of chances to do that earlier. At this point, I've tried to understand why she would do this and the only explanations I can land on are: she deliberately didn't want me there and didn't have the decency to be upfront about it. She felt awkward and avoided the situation entirely, or she didn't realize how hurtful it would be, though I find that hard to believe. Whatever the reason, it's caused a rift with some of my most important friendships and put us all in an incredibly uncomfortable situation. It's made it clear that this isn't the kind of friendship I want to keep in my life. 2 of the others still haven't acknowledged anything. I haven't removed them yet, I'm just keeping my distance and taking time to process. This whole thing has been a sharp wake-up call. I thought things were back on solid ground. Clearly, they weren't. Thanks again to everyone who took the time to comment, it really helped me get clear and act from a place that felt calm, not reactive. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. You don't have to cut them off completely, but maybe just quiet quit. Don't make any effort if you aren't getting reciprocal effort. Put the group chat on DND and only reply to texts sent directly to you. Only answer calls, don't make them. Check in on yourself in a month. Are you happier than before? Are they making more of an effort to include you? Have any of the others even noticed you stepping back? Reply. So after a bit of thinking I have taken myself out of the group chat and don't think I can forgive the bride. I'm not making a big song and dance about it but taking myself away from the situation and people involved. Those who want to remain in my life will let me know. One of the gals I spoke to has messaged me several times, organizing a catch-up for this weekend and is planning to come visit. These questions to ask myself are really helpful, thank you. I feel like after this there may be a couple of friends left from this group but I've decided to focus on other friendships for the moment. Stories number 21. Aita for calling off my wedding after finding out my fiancé never had the money he promised to contribute. I, 33F, have been with my partner, 32M, for 5 years. He proposed in March 2024 and we agreed to get married in December 2025. He promised to cover 70% of the wedding costs and said he'd transfer money to my account whenever I paid for something. I ended up handling all the planning and bookings. By April this year, I had already paid around $500K, local currency. But when I checked, he hadn't sent me a single cent. I kept reminding him, and he always said, yes, baby, after work. I work in an accounting firm with over 40 clients, so I'm insanely busy and didn't have time to double-check every day. But I trusted him. When we finally sat down to talk about it, I found out he didn't actually have the money. He planned to ask his parents or use future income, meaning he had been lying about having savings. All this time, he bragged about being financially stable and successful. He's a lawyer, but apparently, it was all talk. I understand that people can go through tough financial times, but lying about it and letting me carry all the burden. That felt like a betrayal. I decided to call off the wedding and the relationship. Now he's throwing the wedding expenses in my face, even though I did all the work. My parents think I should go through with it since the engagement has already been announced to family. Aita for calling it off. I feel heartbroken, used, and honestly, fooled. And seriously, if you can't afford to get married, why propose in the first place? Stories number 22. Aita for not sharing the good tea with a friend. My friend was over visiting, I offered tea. She said yes. She's not much of a tea drinker, she normally drinks cheap herbal teas, which are not actually tea anyway, and isn't picky. I, on the other hand, have a cabinet full of teas of various types, imported from around the world. I offered her a decent selection, a nice oolong, a nice white tea, a high-quality herbal, a good flavored black. She pointed at something else in the cabinet and went, what about that one? I hesitated, then said it's pretty expensive pu'er I had imported, and she probably wouldn't like it anyway. She said I'm being stingy and could let her taste for herself. But pu'er is a polarizing tea anyway, and this stuff is not cheap at all, and it would be difficult for me to get more of this brand. I know I can make multiple cups from it, but I hadn't been planning on doing a PUR week right now, and really didn't want to waste it on someone who probably wouldn't like it anyway. She doesn't even like strong black tea. For those not in the know, my family has compared the smell of PUR to fish and dirty socks. I like it a lot, but I understand it's not everybody's thing. Now she's being passive-aggressive at me. People are disappointed it wasn't about gossip. Notable comments. Commenter 1. Your mate was out of line. You offered her decent tea, she went poking about and asked for your good stuff like it was hers. That PUR is not builder's brew, it's niche, expensive, and an acquired taste. If she's not even into proper tea and normally drinks glorified potpourri, what's she on about? If she normally drinks floral bathwater, she'd likely hate the PUR anyway. Let her sulk, she's being daft. Commenter 2. I'm not understanding why it's so taboo to say, that's really expensive and I don't want to share it. These are hard times and if I buy something pricey for myself I want to A. Share it with only my wife or B. Share it with nobody. If someone said, that was expensive I'm saving it and it's stinky so you won't enjoy it anyway, to me. Instantly dropped. Totally makes sense. Comments by OOP. I said very apologetically that it's really difficult to get, admittedly mentioning that it's expensive was a mistake, and that PUR is a very polarizing tea and lots of people don't like it, and included the anecdote about my family and the fish comments. I clearly wasn't the most tactful, hence coming here, but I wasn't actually trying to be a massive jerk about it. I have nothing against her drinking cheap tea. The isn't really tea anyway is about herbal teas, which are literally not tea, and no tea drinker I knows will refer to them as actual tea. I didn't say that to her, anyway. Please note the humorous capitalization used there. My point is that it's a very different flavor for someone who generally drinks herbals. Smelling would have been no use. It doesn't have a strong smell, and nothing prepares you for the pitch black that results. Taking this all the way to, is she really a friend, over a minor conflict about tea is a bit much, imo. This isn't a huge strop, she was just annoyed. It's not the highest stakes conflict I've ever been involved in, I just felt a bit bad afterwards. I think she was just kinda nosing at my interesting looking tea cabinet. Which I get, but when I visit my fellow tea drinking friends, even if I see something shiny I'll generally keep my eyes to myself unless it's offered. Tea can be very expensive. If it had been a different tea I might have given her anyway, but I just couldn't bring myself with the PUR. The tea was in the cabinet. I opened it and took out several options to offer her, including an herbal. She looked in the cabinet while I was doing so and asked about the PUR. I hadn't thought to pre-remove the tea from the cabinet so she wouldn't see that there's other tea, because most people will choose from provided options. It's kind of the opposite of, appreciate this fine brew, though. Yes, it's expensive, but I have yet to meet anybody around me who actually likes PUR, because it's so smelly. Even my lapsing slouching drinking husband doesn't like it. It's not a snobbery thing, it's really that many people just don't like it, even among tea snobs. I know it wasn't smart to mention the price, which redirected the whole issue. ETA, many people I know don't like it. I am aware that it has plenty of aficionados. She was passive-aggressive for a bit, then we kept hanging out and parted cordially. I just felt bad afterwards and decided to post, since I figured AITA could use a change from crazy fiancés, inheritance entitlement, and child-free weddings. She wasn't actually aware of my large tea collection, and in the end she chose the herbal most similar to what she drinks at home, though some of the other ones I offered her were unfamiliar to her teas, like oolong, and good quality. So I don't think she was in the most adventurous mood. Incidentally, she was kind of briefly snitty and moved on. This isn't a massive fight. I just felt bad afterwards. Mentioning the cost was definitely a stupid moment for me. Though in fairness, I have another friend who's a big tea drinker and if she said some tea was super rare super expensive, I'd be like enjoy that. I can fund my own expensive hobby lol. Still, not my finest hour. Regarding herbals, I do have some, even some nice ones, and I did offer her. She's just one of those people who goes, what's the difference lol. I have also definitely had friends who ask for tea, brew a cup, and then drink 3 sips and the rest gets poured out. Sob. And the tea I offered her was good. Absolutely not trash tea. In my friend's defense, though, while she was a bit snitty, she didn't throw a whole tantrum or anything, and we parted cordially. I just felt bad afterwards, which was why I posted. If I was making PUR I would have absolutely offered her a taste. I also didn't drink anything outside of the selection I'd taken out, I wasn't going to drink something I hadn't offered. This PUR is way above my normal price range, because while I may have a bit of a tea problem, my wallet is not fat enough to really indulge. I'd received it as a gift from someone who had it gifted to them and was like, I don't like tea anyway, do you want it? It was like gold from heaven. I didn't tell her she drinks cheap herbals. I told you guys, because she does. She buys the cheapest supermarket stuff. I even buy the more expensive herbals, the ones with big fat sachets full of whole leaves and flowers and such. It was just to explain her general taste in tea herbal. I'm fine with her enjoying what she enjoys. I don't think it's talking down to her. She will also say she buys the inexpensive tea, because it tastes fine to her. It's a description of her actual herbal tea shopping habits. I have some things where I'll buy the cheap option, because I don't care or can't tell the difference myself, like coffee. I tell my friends not to waste their good coffee on me, since I don't particularly like it anyway and will just dump sugar in it. It's a factual description of the type of herbal tea she buys. She's a lovely person, which has no bearing on her choice of hot beverages. Update. So I was judged NTA on the post, but there was definitely a lot of very lively discussion about tea snobs, and inappropriate nosing in cabinets. I very much appreciated all the comments. As it happened, about a week after the post, our friend group WhatsApp started talking about, you guessed it, tea. Specifically, somebody went, what do you mean, different types of tea, like verbena, and another friend, not even me, went off about how that's not real tea. Look, my friends and I agree on the important things in life. Also, I'm waiting for people to wonder why TF we keep on talking about tea on our WhatsApp group. It doesn't actually happen that often, I swear. Anyway, I jumped in and said, how about we have a tea party and I will let y'all try the fancy stuff. So we did. About 10 friends came, including the original friend who was cruelly denied the good pu'er. We tried 8 different types of tea, including some variants of the same type, so they could compare the flavors, e.g. 2 oolongs, 2 English breakfasts. The biggest hit was the chai, lol. Afterward some people asked where they could order some of the teas for themselves, and as for the friend from the first post, she tried the coveted pu'er and did not like it lol. Otto, her heart opened to the Jamaica. One of my other friends did enjoy the pu'er, though. Everyone had a good time, and agreed that we should totally do it again. I am now sitting here and sipping my third steep of the leaves with great satisfaction. Comments. It was a really positive ending to the whole thing. It was also really fun hearing my friends comparing the tea flavors to each other and commenting on them. People also brought finger foods and cookies and stuff, to make it a proper party. Interestingly, most of my crowd liked the regular green better than the Jamaica, and my cheaper oolong better than the expensive. I think some of it is that since most of them are used to less expensive teas, if the flavor isn't punching them in the face they don't feel it as much. Got a favorite long to recommend? Well, we'll forever be on different sides of the divide regarding how obnoxious it is to call not tea, tea. You know what a bummer it is to get to someone's house, be offered tea after dinner, and it's a tisane. I mean maybe you don't lol. And then I have to drink it, otherwise I'll look like an asshole. Stories number 23. My fiancé got the worst news of his life, and I think I'm being selfish. I know this may be part of the grieving process and accepting the news, but it physically hurts. Less than a week ago, my fiancé, 40M, found out he has cancer. There were no symptoms that previous doctors were ever concerned about, and due to his age we never thought to push too far on it. Today we found out it is stage 4 colon cancer that has metastasized to the liver and potentially other organs. We will know more pending the results of more labs and imaging, but the doctor estimates without treatment he would have maybe 5 months. With treatment, maybe 2 years. I feel like the wind has been knocked out of me. I have been trying to be strong and stand by him. But now I can't stop sobbing and think about how I wish it were me instead. How I wish I had it and he didn't. I know in the morning I will be calling my therapist, but it's so hard to breathe now. Stories number 24. Everyone but the bride has paid me back for bachelorette trip in 2 days. I planned and booked my friend's bachelorette party trip per her request. I'm a bridesmaid, the MOH is her sister, and she's younger so didn't have the credit line money to book anything. I tried my best to be budget conscious while still doing what the bride asked, and the price per person was discussed prior. The bride actually wanted to go more expensive, but I talked my way around going with the cheaper Airbnb, omitting the expensive spa day to save money. Fast forward, my card has been charged in full for the Airbnb and activities I booked, had to get tickets, the rest of the wedding party has paid me back, but the bride has not. We leave on Thursday morning for the trip, and I'm getting scared she's going to go about the trip and not pay me back. She's made comments about paying me back previously, and I've confirmed the amount and date I wanted it by, end of April for everyone. She's excited and buying outfits and accessories for the weekend, and told me she had to put some clothes on layaway as she had no money. I dropped again that my credit card still has her portion on it and she said she would pay me back again. My mom wants me to tell her that I need the money before or the trip is cancelled, but frankly I'm scared to be so bold, so save the friendship. How would you handle this situation? Realistically, I am not a super bold person and would really like to keep the peace here. She is a good friend, just historically not good with money or budgeting. I should add if I cancel with Airbnb at this point, I can only get about 50% of the paid amount back. Editing to add, the bride requested a 4-day trip, and because we're only a party of 5, including the bride, she agreed to be included in the splitting of costs. We're young and already can't afford a lot, some of the girls have had to pay me back in payment plans, but they got it done. I understand that it's not completely normal for the bride to pay, but this is a 4-day vacation essentially. Stories number 25. Wife's grandfather found this 2,000-year-old seed bag just sitting on a Missouri Ozarks hill, still filled with ancient seeds. Found around Roaring River State Park, SWMO, area, at the top of a hill, sitting out on the surface of the ground where it had presumably been exposed to the elements for centuries, but it still seems pristine. Not even a stain on it. The bag is not brittle at all, and the material is still extremely strong, though we didn't dare stress test it. While it defaults to the wrinkled position pictured, it can be opened and closed and is very pliable, though out of caution we haven't wanted to handle it for much more than a few photos. There's at least 2 types of seed in it, probably several hundred seeds altogether. Best we can tell, the only other known to exist is at the University of Arkansas, called the Eden's Bluff Seed Bag, which has a lot more info to suggest the time, material and seed contents, extinct cousins of plants that exist in the area today. The 2 bags were found roughly 50 miles apart. We have been in contact with the UA and have promised to bring it down at our earliest opportunity. Bag, seeds, interested cat, bag in jar. Comments. Commenter 1, how do you know it's so old? Commenter 2, they found that card inside S. Commenter 3, listen, I'm not knocking you for this, but I will believe this once it's been through the university. Exposed natural fiber doesn't last. There is very specific conditions for something like this to survive and sitting on a hill, isn't it? Also cedar isn't the best to make a bag with. Indian hemp is way more likely. Or even yucca possibly. I'm sorry, but this does not seem like it is anywhere near what you think it is. Update. Our hunt for answers uncovered new details, artifacts, and some fascinating answers from the bright team at the University of Arkansas Museum in Fayetteville, spearheaded by Dr. Mary Suter, curator. So it's going to be long. TLDR at the end. First, I steered you guys wrong on a couple important details in my first post, which caused a lot of understandable skepticism. Sorry. That's on me. Bear in mind it was found 6+ decades ago. So I'll try to clarify who, where, when, and other details below. This weekend we met with family in SWMO to clean up MIL's tornado damage, and had interacted with the museum months ago about bringing in the bag when we were close. So we took the opportunity to get as many details from any family member who might know anything and make the trip to Bentonville. Who found it? The bag was found by 2 men named Jerry Weber and Andy Jewell. Andy spent many years as a surveyor for the railroad, and as a longtime farmer, he spent a lot of his life in the nature he loved. I never knew him, but he left a pretty grand legacy. He died in the early 2000s, so a lot of what could be known about his discovery is lost. When it was found, in the mid-1960s. The bag sat in a glass jar for 65 years. Where it was found, a lot of people took issue with my saying the bag was found exposed to the elements, totally understandable, but I was just misinformed. Sorry again. My MIL didn't know what she talking about, but her brother did. And I couldn't edit the post. The bag was actually found in a bluff shelf, like the small caves on side of a hill or cliff. We also learned he found some stone tools at the site. And then, we actually found all of the Native American arrowheads and tools Andy had probably ever discovered in a plastic bag in the bottom of a chest. About 7 total. Which is awesome, and did end up telling us something, but being mixed together meant we couldn't possibly determine which may have been collected from the seed bag site. The site of the find was most likely Berry County, just north of Roaring River State Park. Andy had lived in a place called Dry Hollow, between Cassville and Seligman. The seed bag may not have been found exactly there. It could have been found around Washburn Prairie immediately west. We were told secondhand it was at a bluff that had at least partially collapsed at some point in recent history, geologically speaking. I doubt we'll be able to pinpoint it much more because all parties who were directly involved are dead. Her uncle offered to lead people to where he thinks it was, but he would have been like 12 at the time, so nobody hold your breath. On to the museum. So now with more solid details and more artifacts, we headed to meet the museum. TBH, we had no idea what to expect. We'd only sent photos to the museum via email and they wanted us to bring it. Would we be wasting their time? Would they care about such a thing? Do they get this sort of stuff all the time? They were standing at the door eagerly waiting for us, and upon laying eyes on the bag, we were surprised to find the atmosphere was almost immediately a combination of awe and reverence. The University of Arkansas Museum does not have a facility that is open to the public, like curations you can walk around and see. Instead, the space features a large, sterile, controlled area they called collection storage, which was carefully stocked with shelves of curiosities, antiquities and much archaeological research and artifacts. After some talk on the finding of the bag, Dr. Suter carefully placed a pad and laid out the bag, loose seeds and stone tools. After a brief inspection, she found a tattered old copy of a book called Prehistoric Plies, maybe 150 pages, that was a reference analysis made by the museum for every cordage, netting, basketry and fabric from Ozark Bluff shelters that they'd found. It was the perfect book for this. She studied page after page and then in one page turn, her eyes lit up and everyone almost immediately locked onto a bag that seemed to have incredibly similar features. About this time, I guess word of what we brought in had gotten around and some of the staff came literally running into the room to see the bag, which quickly accumulated a small crowd of very excited curators. My wife and I were curious by this reaction, and really didn't know what to make of the attention. When Mel Zabecki of the Arkansas Archaeological Survey said, "This is the nicest thing I've ever seen come in," we exchanged a look like, "Is this for real?" As it turned out, no, nobody ever brings in something like this. One archaeologist there had actually participated in a dig on a bluff nearby Andy's old place. He was kind enough to print out pictures for us, which I've included to give you an idea of the environment where it was found. He told us they called them bluff shelters, and a number had been found in the area, often around creeks and rivers. There was a nervous chuckle of light disbelief among the researchers when my wife mentioned that she took it to second grade show and tell, for Native American Month, of course, the only time anyone was ever allowed to move the mystery bag in the glass jar in the back of the hutch. This is also where and when those notes were written, for the benefit of the class. Dr. Suter, noticing the notes had sentimental value, kindly and carefully stitched one back together again with tape and gave them both a protective flat for us for safekeeping. How old is the bag? It is ancient. The UFA have suggested that the preferred word now is pre-contact, with Europeans, as opposed to prehistoric, which can cause confusion with dinosaurs and much earlier eras. The bag is firmly pre-contact. All of the following is speculation from the research team, and not cold fact. It is safe to say the bag would be no less than 500 years old, and is most likely much older. The reasons they told us were as follows. Because bluff shelters were used during a specific time period, long before Europeans made contact with Native Americans, and had not been in popular use by the native population for many years, as they had developed more efficient methods of storage and cultivation. The age and style of other bags found in the same area. Carbon dating. Carbon dating the bag will take time. As it is a Native American artifact, there is a process of interaction and collaboration between the museum and the Osage tribe that must take place first. Then the process of carbon dating involves sending off a sample to another university, so that itself could take weeks. All this is way out of our scope. So we have left the bag and its research in the incredibly skilled and capable hands of the University of Arkansas Museum, the Arkansas Archaeological Survey, and the Osage tribe. Is the bag rare? Extremely. Before this, they have only ever found 2 bags with seeds in them, Eden Bluff, and a decayed bag with a small amount of acorns, which we also got to see. As many Redditors pointed out, fiber and seed are obviously very perishable, so it is almost impossible for both bags and seeds like this to survive to the modern era. It is a one-of-a-kind specimen. The seeds and stone tools. Some of the staff quickly began taking photos of the seeds and stone tools, and texted colleagues and counterparts, who offered some fast initial analysis. The seeds. The small blackish seed stumped everyone, at least then, but it was generally quickly agreed upon that all the seeds were extremely old, not viable to plant. Sorry gardeners, we tried. The stone tools. Archaeologist Jared Epworth, an expert on ancient stone tools among other things, almost immediately determined our 7 stone tools and arrowheads came from 2 sets of times. Middle Archaic period, 2000 to 5000 BC, about 4000 years to 7000 years ago. The Woodland period from 1000 BC to 1000 AD, about 1000 to 2000 years ago. I have no idea how this was done, but it was impressive. It is only marginally helpful in dating the bag though, since we cannot know which, if any, were found with the bag. Comparing the seed bag to a previous discovery. Now pretty confident that the bag in the book was comparable, Dr. Suter lead us back into the depths of collection storage to take a look at the real thing. We walked through a vast, fascinating collection of racks filled with small, identical catalogued boxes until she found one in particular, an excavation from 1932. She opened the box top and there was a neatly organized collection of ancient artifacts, shells, bones, rope that looks like it was made last year, and a bag that was the spitting image of ours. Same weaving, coloring, stitching, etc. This bag was larger, more decayed and badly torn. It was wrapped at the top with a piece of leather. When found, all it contained was half of a very old, carefully carved pipe, which was also in the box. If we can get permission, I will share photos of the what we can later. So we asked, where was this 1932 excavation? Berry County, Missouri. Bingo. Just a few miles away from Andy's seed bag's location. Unfortunately, the 32 contents had never been carbon dated, so we weren't lucky enough to get a fast answer. Then to our amazement, Dr. Suter casually pulled out another nondescript box containing the actual Eden Bluff seed bag, in all its glory. This is the Eden Bluff seed bag we're talking about, for the curious. We couldn't believe it. The bag had sparked our imagination for years, and here it was, in the flesh, 2,000 years old, looking like it was made yesterday. We just stared in wonder. It was a reverential experience. Due to certain permissions issues, the museum has requested that we not share photos of the Eden Bluff bag, though we may be able to later. There's plenty of photos on their website. The museum collection storage area. After fawning over more boxes with bags, tools, pottery and trinkets from ancient fellow Ozarks humans, Dr. Suter kindly let us basically roam the collection storage. She casually played the part of the world's greatest tour guide. We'd point at any fascination and she'd teach us the most interesting things we'd ever heard. What the calcified throat of a whole alligator fossil meant, a very early electronic music studio, the first atom accelerator, made by a later Nobel Prize winner, finding the first, dog-sized, horse in America, ancient Aztec calendars, the terrifying claw foot of a 10-foot native Arkansas raptor-like dinosaur. We spent a long time in there. Donating the bag. We made the easy decision then and there to donate the piece to the University of Arkansas in Andy Jewell's name, or technically, to the Osage tribe, who have taken the great responsibility of being stewards of many Native American artifacts found and excavated in the area. So when artifacts like this are found, UFA often administrates these under the oversight of the tribe. It will be housed at the UFA Museum, and we've been told we can visit it whenever we'd like, which is a sweet touch. We have been concerned for years about our ability to keep such an ancient thing from deteriorating while in our care, and felt that the piece belonged to something bigger than our little finite lives, where we know it will always be properly cared for, studied and respected. Most importantly, we believe it was what Andy Jewell would have wanted. Andy was very conservation-minded and taught his granddaughter to follow practices of respect, care for the land and stewardship. Please don't touch artifacts. While this process was quite an adventure, it is also a pretty good example of why you should always leave an artifact if you find it. Instead, contact researchers who can properly exhume and document it. This bag was found decades ago and we're all glad it had a happy ending. Who knows where it would be otherwise, though by not knowing the site of the find, we may well lose the opportunity to discover even more. It could be worse. They shared many horror stories of flea market finds, farmers plowing over dig sites, kid burning up ancient artifacts, etc. All artifacts are a limited resource that is very valuable to better understanding our history and our changing world, and the Arkansas Archaeological Survey has requested we discourage people from collecting artifacts, even artifacts on the surface, even on your own private property. We've lost so much history, and even more problematic is that indigenous folks have had their history monetized, looted, abused, and destroyed. Artifacts in the hands of archaeologists can be studied by researchers for many, many decades and generations to come. End of update 2. Thanks in part to your overwhelming interest, we were inspired to find answers and better understand the mysteries of Andy Jewell's Ozark Mountain seed bag. It has been a profoundly rewarding experience and a unique once-in-a-lifetime adventure for both of us, and some of the museum staff as well, we're told. We learned so much, and it meant the world to my wife, who had been concerned quite literally her whole life about ensuring that this special bag would be given a proper home. We honestly did not dream this interaction would turn out the way it did. The University of Arkansas's archaeology program was the most perfect place in the world to bring this one-of-a-kind artifact. Not only did they have a similar bag just a few feet away, but they were so excited to study it, and so happy that we brought it with the mindset for preservation. The team of archaeologists were as endlessly hospitable as their vast knowledge. They have promised to keep us involved and appraised on all developments, and they kindly sent us home with a copy of the Prehistoric Weave book. Special thanks to Dr. Mary Sutter, Dr. Mel Zabecki, Dr. Jared Pebworth, the University of Arkansas Museum, the Arkansas Archaeological Survey, and the very friendly staff at both. Thanks also to the extended Jewell family, whose individual names I won't list due to privacy requests. For anybody interested in this sort of thing, the Arkansas Archaeological Society is a cool group of people who are always looking for volunteers, even for a weekend. The photos were shared with permission. We have more photos I will share in this thread after if we receive permission on those. Once researchers have carbon dated the seeds and analyzed the bag, we'll post one more update. It might be a while. Super special shout out to you whatever house please who private messaged me just to insult my wife and I and call us intellectually disabled after my first post. Guess we can't be in your study. A few of y'all need to learn that being skeptical is healthy, but being insulting, cruel and rude to each other is not. Please remember the people you're talking to in our Missouri are your neighbors and friends. Sub to whoever chatted me that you could buy this exact bag on Etsy. TLDR, the bag and seeds are ancient prehistoric pre-contact artifacts, and the Museum of Arkansas will need to go through a process with the Osage tribe before having its contents carbon dated. It was found, in the 60s, on a bluff not a hill. Sorry for the confusion. Comments. Commenter 1, 5D ago maybe one of the greatest updates to a post on Reddit. Commenter 2, okay, I was one of the ones that was skeptical when you first posted, mostly because of the apparent place of discovery. But this is awesome. So glad you did the work to follow up. Reply, yeah, I felt bad about confusing people about where, and when, it was found. I totally understood all the reasonable and healthy skepticism. Commenter 3, as someone raised next to the Osage River, this is awesome. How did you end up going to Arkansas, as opposed to the University of Missouri? Reply, copying an earlier answer to this, it was something that we did talk through a while back, and it was a very difficult decision to make. As lifelong Missourians, our initial reaction was to want to see this home. I've spent time at MU history, and the University of Missouri would have been magnitudes easier for us personally to visit. But ultimately, the University of Arkansas is well established for research of this specific region and field, as many Ozark Bluff shelters are on the Arkansas side of the border, and they have a strong relationship with the Osage tribe who are often de facto stewards of artifacts such as this. Hopefully this allows for a good opportunity to be able to research and study the piece as part of the whole document. Still not sure if it was the right call, if there is such a thing in this case, but I am glad it's being looked after. Stories number 26. Aita for grounding my stepdaughter for selling my formal dress. I 37F have a stepdaughter, Amy, 16F. Amy was looking for formal dresses, and I mentioned that I have my old formal dresses. She picked my old prom dress to wear, and she has kept it in her wardrobe since wearing it at prom. I don't fit in my old dresses anymore, and I kept them and some other clothes to hand down to my kids. However, I have 2 sons who aren't interested. Since my nieces, 15F and 13F are interested in my clothes, I plan to give them the rest once they were old enough to fit them. Amy left her earbuds in her sweatpants pocket and turned on the washing machine. When she asked for new ones, me and her dad told her to save up to buy new ones. She works part-time, as she wanted an expensive brand new pair and not the wired earphones I had offered. Amy went to stay with her mom, and when she got back, she had the new earbuds she wanted, so I asked if her mom had bought them for her, and she said she had resold my dress on a second-hand site and bought herself the earphones. The dress is 100% silk, one of a kind, and the brand doesn't exist anymore. I was really upset to hear she had sold my dress, without even asking. I confiscated her earbuds and told her I would give them back when she repaid me the cost of what she sold the dress for. My husband thinks I am being too harsh, as I wasn't explicit on whether I was lending or giving her the dress. Amy has gone to live with her mom since and thinks I am being unfair. I am not sure if I have taken it too far and if I should stand my ground.